What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Book Report, Chapter 6. We're talking about, I still haven't gotten this title down. From the desert, comes a
In the
stranger.
desert, strangers come to
From the
visit.
desert, a stranger arrives, or something. I don't know. Like, I've been trying to write that title all day and failing.
Yeah.
But yeah, crazy episode. We have a substitute teacher coming in today. He is from the Legal Geeks. He's also like the movie trivia schmodown Star Wars champion of the world, but like who cares about that really? That's just like sounds like a fake title. Well, welcome the Major Thomas Harper to the show.
Eddie's.
And I see you have the belt right behind you. Can you just move that out of frame? I don't know why. Just ask Rex to move to the side.
So it's part of his uniform, and while I am a major, I do not outrank him as a captain enough to give him that order. So he's going to be dutifully standing by.
I've never once seen that on a clone trooper. I don't think that's standard issue.
They all have flair. They all have flair, and he just has a little more.
Yes, you got me there. That's true. I'll let it slide, I guess. But thanks so much for coming on and talking Star Wars with us. What have you been thinking of the Book of Boba Fett so far?
I got over, and I suppose we'll probably talk about it tonight, but I've gotten over my title content, ratio of Boba Fett to Boba Fett's show issue. I got excited that we saw him and heard from him tonight, but I've really enjoyed it. It's been a really, really fun ride, and it's just good Star Wars. And it's like Christmas Eve every Tuesday night when I go to bed, looking forward to Star Wars way too early in the morning.
Yeah,
it does get me excited to go to bed on Tuesdays.
Yeah, it does feel like a little Christmas, kind of like, ooh, only 6 more hours.
Yeah,
it's so creepy. I woke up right at 3 in the morning, and like I was like wide awake, and I was like, oh, do I look at my phone? Probably shouldn't. And I like forced myself to go back to sleep for 3 more hours.
If you wake me up, then it's like we watch it, and then it's like, well, I guess I'm awake, and I'll just start. I'll stay up all day. And I should point out that yes, HelloGreedo is also going to be joining us. He's going to be about 15 minutes late because he has a child or something. So these other
silly adult things.
Yeah. So he'll be on when he's on. So we're gonna just break it down ourselves right now. What did you think of this episode in particular, Thomas?
I really loved it. I'm a big Luke fan, and it was a showcase of why Filoni is so good, and this combo of him and Favreau really delivered in spades this week. I wish that we had like a 10 episode run or something like that, so you could know that you're going to get some more meat from Boba Fett on the back end. But that being said, like, how can you ask for anything more than Luke training Grogu and Ahsoka mixed in there, giving some like gut punch emotional lines, and just some of the intense setup. Cad Bane, I wasn't expecting. Maybe I should have been. Maybe I'm naive, but I was just blown away from start to finish. And I've watched it. I won't admit how many times now, but I'll probably watch it when we hop off this stream again. I'm like getting myself excited. I'm going to dump you guys, ditch you guys, and go watch it again.
Yeah. He wants to talk about it when we can watch it.
Yeah. See ya.
I want to bring this up real quick. Chad Bane.
We saw Chad Bane, and right up the PR also said Cad Babe.
Cad Babe.
I don't know if that was a typo or not, but I love it.
Look, I didn't need that kind of hat, but now I need Cad Bane's hat.
That was such a good introduction. It was perfect. Where I've been like hoping Cad Bane would be in this series, and then the second you see just that far off silhouette, I was like, that's him. And I need to get a gif of my reaction to being like, oh yeah, it's Cad Bane, and then realizing like, oh god, he's marching towards Cobb Vanth. And like, I can't believe this is how it's happening.
You were just over there going through every single emotion that I've ever seen you have all at once. But I will say I was one of those people where as soon as I saw him, I was like, His hat's too small.
That's
Hat's too small.
Our friend Adam said the exact same thing. The hat should have been bigger.
He can get a new hat. He can upgrade.
Yeah. Well, Molly
Yeah.
said that, and I was like, this is Ahsoka and her Montrals all over again. It's like at some
Yeah.
point for live action, there's practicality comes into play.
Hat gate.
Yeah. The hat can only be so big.
I was like a degree further than that. So I was tipped so far forward. This is like 4 a.m. at my house. I also have kids like HelloGreedo. So I have to get up before they're up, which is like a feat of human endurance to do that. But I'm like kind of chilled out on the couch. And then when that happens, you see the silhouette. I'm like up and leaned so far forward, like gravity was about to pull me off and like flatten me on the floor. But I see the hat, but I'm like, those don't look like leg boosters on his leg. I don't know if that could be Cad Bane, because he's got those rockets on his ankles. And as soon as I was proven wrong, I was like up out of the chair, like just standing watching the scene.
Yeah, I mean, he's like 30 years older than he was in the Clone Wars. His rocket boot days might be past him. I don't know.
True. Those things are dangerous. That's a young man's game.
I'm going to go ahead and pause because our second substitute teacher has arrived. What's up, Greedo?
Hello,
Welcome
children. How are you all doing?
Hello.
So we're just talking about this show called The Book of Boba Fett. And before we get into your take on the episode, how have you been feeling about the series so far?
The Book of Boba Fett, I've enjoyed it for the most part. It's just okay to me. I think the past 2 episodes have made me, maybe this is a cynical take, but it's made me kind of miss The Mandalorian as a series, like drastically.
I think a lot of people are feeling that.
Yeah, but I've enjoyed it so far. What about you guys?
Pretty much the same. I mean, like I was really getting into Boba Fett's story. And then I feel like I had to adjust last week, where I was like, I mean, I loved last week's episode. I had so much fun watching it, but I was also like, remember Boba Fett? Like, are we going to have Boba Fett in this Boba Fett show? And then it happened again, but I was still having so much fun watching it. So it's a great Star Wars story. Not a great Boba Fett story, but like I just find it hard to complain about that.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. And it was a great Boba Fett story. I loved the Tusken Raider background stuff. Dude, that was it was brilliant. I absolutely loved it.
Oh, but, those 4 episodes, good Boba Fett story.
Mhm.
Just the past 2, I've been like, I'm enjoying this, but it's just a weird series overall.
It is. It's a weird, like, hard turn in a different direction, but it's not a bad turn. It just feels a little strange.
It's like we're all on Space Mountain. Like the lights are out. You don't know where the turns are coming and where things are going. Like it's really just Filoni at the controls, like the cast member that loads you onto the roller coaster that knows where this is going. So it very much feels like we're in the middle of a big arc story-wise out that goes beyond just this series. We just don't know where it's going. And so I think in a year, maybe 2, I don't know what's down the pipeline, but we're going to look back on this and say, okay, I get it now. I see. I just wish they had more than 7 episodes to suss this out.
Right. I like that.
Yeah, and I feel like that happens to a lot of shows. Like when you just have patience, a lot of the questions we have are answered. Like people were freaking out in season 1 of Mando about like, why won't this guy take his helmet off? And he says it's a rule, but we've seen so many Mandalorians take their helmets off. In season 2, we got not only an answer, but a really good one that delved into the story. And then at the end of season 2, it was like, well, why didn't Bo-Katan take the Darksaber? She took it before. And then we waited a season, and now we have that answer, and it's a good one, and it's part of the story. So
exactly,
I'm like, I'm willing to wait.
Absolutely. That's why I always feel like really dumb and goofy doing episode reviews, because I always like looking at the broad picture of the entire, season or the series, because there's way more to talk about when you look at the bird's eye view of a series,
Yeah. And that, like, when I'm doing an episode review, I just try to focus on, did I have fun watching it? Did it make me feel something? And I don't remember the last time I was so stressed out by a TV show when Cad Bane is approaching Cobb Vanth. And I'm like, I mean, I wanted Cad Bane so bad, but not at the cost of Cobb Vanth.
Not like this.
Do not kill him.
Do you remember when we first started doing reactions and you were like, I don't know about reactions. I don't really do reactions to stuff. And now this is like you've done the most reacting of any Star Wars show that I've ever seen you do.
Well, it's a lot of like, it's 20 minutes of me like sitting there like, and then one thing will happen and I'll freak out. So I guess it's worth it for that.
Yeah. Real quick, I wanted to bring up another super chat from Brennan Marr. He's the FCL Star Wars champ. Hello there, Harper. Good to see you.
Good to see you, champ. I look forward to probably losing to you one day.
Yeah, he's gonna take the Schmodown by storm.
He'll just have both.
Also,
both
I wanted to point out previous substitute teacher Lucky Yates is in the chat. What's up, Lucky?
Hey.
And also, he texted me and was very excited about HelloGreedo being on the show with us today.
Nice.
Didn't have anything to say about you, Thomas.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. I have to earn my way up.
I told him that he, as my friend, he is not allowed to like anyone that has the belt besides me. So
This is true. And I guess this thing will corrupt me, and I'll make a graceful fall like Anakin, and
And speaking of the Schmodown.
Yeah, while we're talking about the Schmodown,
Ugh.
let's get Thomas and let's get this beef out of the
all
way.
riled up.
You just have to come in here and just
we're trying to have a good time, Gold Leader.
I'll give Gold Leader some credit here. He hits on a good point, because bringing in a character like Cad Bane obviously carries a lot of weight because he's been in so much Star Wars before. But a huge chunk of the audience that's watching this show probably hasn't seen everything that's out there, Clone Wars, Bad Batch, and whatnot. And so you've got to introduce this character in a way that without you can't give a whole episode to catch everybody up on Cad Bane. That's what you're for, Alex and Molly. But you've got to be able to, in an instant, sort of convey who this guy is, why he's a menace, and why he's a bigger deal than just some alien randomly strolling into, I guess now we're calling it Freetown. And they did that in spades just by his look. He didn't have to open his mouth. Then when he did open his mouth, he didn't have to speak. And I'm pretty sure that those teeth can cut through Beskar. I think that's going to be canonically established. But it was just, I kind of sat back, and like the Cad Bane we're used to is like, kind of like narrow eyes, just kind of chill, but he can get fired up. And we've gotten used to the danger and the menace that he presents over tons of episodes, like hours of content of Cad Bane. But I thought that in just a minute-long scene, or however long it was, they really, really knocked it out of the park, telling the audience exactly who this guy is. And that was before he ever pulled the trigger on his blaster.
Yeah. I loved how they set up, like at the beginning of the episode, they showed Cobb Vanth, like how quick he was on the draw. Yeah. And so we have that in the back of our minds. And then, Cad Bane is like even faster. So if you don't know who he is, you're still just like, whoa.
I mean, that was my whole, just emotional roller coaster of all of that running through my head. The second Cad Bane shows up, and I'm like, that's why they had Cobb Vanth at the beginning. And like, they're setting up that Cad Bane is a badass and he can outdraw Cobb Vanth, who we know is fast. And I was just like, do not kill him, wing him. That's fine. I'm sure he's fine. But like, I was so stressed out and upset.
What did Cad Bane call Boba Fett? He called him a cold-blooded killer who worked for the Empire. Is that how he put it?
Yeah.
Okay, so they established some history there. Yeah, I like that. I like
Which, like, he's one to talk.
Oh, right.
Sure.
Yeah, he worked for the Sith.
Right.
I have to put food on my table for my Duros babies.
For Toto 360.
I only do it for the right things.
I do wonder if Toto's going to show up. But I think they've done such a good job in this series of doing exactly what you just said, Thomas, of introducing these well-known characters, but not making it something that you have to have read the comics or watched the Clone Wars. My parents are trying to catch up on the show, and they were like, that big black-haired Wookiee sure is cool. And I was like, yeah, he's from the comics. And they're like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah, do you not watch my channel? And they're like, no. But like, they don't have to know who that is. A giant, scary-looking Wookiee walks on screen. It's like, that's everything you need to know. And Cad Bane is the same way. Like, he just walks in, and he's just a badass. I I wrote this line for a script earlier, and I was super proud of it. He's here to chew toothpicks and kick ass, and he's apparently all out of toothpicks. Where's his toothpick? That's the only thing I missed. But
yeah.
What I love about the look is that Cad Bane is pretty technologically advanced. He's got access, at least in the Clone Wars and in Bad Batch, to a lot of advanced equipment. I guess that comes with the territory when you're getting paid the big bucks for the big bounties. But they just strip him down to his essence. It's like so purely Western in this moment. They don't even go through. I mean, the blaster that he pulls looks like I think it's like an LM-32, but it looks like what it is in the Clone Wars and in Bad Batch, but it's barely above just a straight 6-shooter that they've kind of like spray painted a little bit. And the rest of his outfit looks like he is straight out of a Clint Eastwood movie. And I just love that. And you see his gauntlets, but they don't come into play. He doesn't need any of that. That deputy stepped out of the saloon there, or whatever it was. And I was like, well, you're going to be dead in a second. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's when he stepped out. I was like, yeah, kill the red shirt. Wait, no, not you, Cobb Vanth in the red shirt, but the other guy who's clearly a red shirt. Also,
Jedi Mullet 77 also was wondering where the toothpick was.
Yeah. But Thomas, his blasters are LL-30s. So if you want to just mail the belt back, that's fine. I didn't just look that up earlier today. I think now is a good time to go ahead and talk about our homework. Greedo, were you able to do a drawing?
No,
that's all right.
Just jumped on as fast as I could.
That's okay. But we're talking about something already, so I'll just go ahead and start with mine. Here's what I drew, because obviously this was so much fun. And there's Cobb Vanth lost the duel, but he's fine. We all agree that he's fine. So this was easily my favorite scene of the episode.
Nice.
I don't know
how
you
could. Touch with the smoke coming off the blaster.
Yeah.
And you've got his scarf there. It's screen accurate. I like that.
Did he have a smile on his face? Was there
he's fine.
Smile?
He's okay.
I dig it.
Yeah, Cad Bane's very angry, but Cobb Vanth is okay.
Cobb Vanth is impressed.
He's got a little thumbs up. He's
kind of reminds me of Skeeter from Doug a little bit.
Yeah.
That was my attempt at cool guy Cobb Vanth there.
Drawing
Molly,
on whiteboards is
what did
tough.
You draw, Molly?
Well, we haven't brought him up yet, which is just cruel. But Grogu, obviously. I wasn't expecting Grogu to be in this episode. I actually at first didn't want him to be, because I was like, we need more Boba Fett. Like, I wanted his story to be continued in The Mandalorian, but obviously I was happy that we got to see him. And I think my favorite part was him trying to eat the frog. He really wanted it. And like his little like side eye while he was meditating with Luke, I was like, oh my God, that's the cutest thing I've ever seen.
I really liked the side eye because it seemed like a little moment of growth where, before he would immediately just jump on that frog. But this time he like sees it goes by and he's like, no, close my eyes.
He's trying to sneak it past Luke Skywalker, which is hilarious.
I felt that moment very deeply. I've like tried doing meditations now and again, and I'm watching him peek his eye open, and that's me. I'm like, they're trying to set the mood. The person's like telling you to calm down, control your breath, and I'm like, is there a snack nearby? Is there a Slim Jim or something? So
all of a sudden, I'm very hungry.
Well, Thomas, you told us that you stole arts and crafts from your children, so I can't wait to see what you've prepared for us.
I did. My oldest, who's 3, has like an inventory on everything, and so she's going to know that her markers are out of place and that some paper is missing. So I'm going to probably have to back up because it's a little bit bigger than a whiteboard.
Oh my God.
Whoa.
So I did a little the last scene, I was just watching this, and I played my fair share of video games. It just felt like every character class selection screen ever. And Luke is not at all trying to tip the scales by saying, well, you could go and be with the Mandalorian, you'd have the armor, but you'd forsake everything that's important to you. Or you could be a really cool Jedi and be like this hero. But it's up to you. It's totally up to you. No pressure.
I love the stats. The stats, yeah. Attachments.
So Thomas, do you lean Do you lean towards choosing the Mandalorian way?
I don't know. I don't have any chainmail armor. That's pretty cool. Although it couldn't just be any lightsaber. It had to be Yoda's lightsaber of all things. You see how big his eyes got and he doesn't just pull out the hilt. He ignites it, of course, to tilt the scales even further. So he knows exactly what this kid is into. It's like if I showed my kids like, well, you could have this pair of socks, or you could have this bucket of chocolate bars. It's your choice, though. No pressure. So
nice.
Amazing.
I like the idea that Grogu ends up with both, but just by stealing them. Like Din's gonna come and pick him up, and Grogu's first words will be like, "Go, go, run, run!" Like I took them both. Let's get out of here.
I learned how to jump. I can do it really well now.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Don't worry, I broke his little remote. It won't chase us. It's okay.
Well, Molly, you're right. We have not discussed like any of the Luke, Grogu, Ahsoka stuff yet. So let's talk about that. And I was last week on the fence about whether or not that would happen or if I wanted it to happen. And again, just like The Mandalorian season 2, like when it started happening, I was like, yes, this is great. And I love it. I still missed the whole Boba Fett side of the story, but like seeing Ahsoka and Luke on screen together is so sick.
Right.
Yeah,
I was surprised it happened. I was actually surprised it happened, but I'm very glad it did.
Me too.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw that that's kind of the direction they were headed, I was like, okay, let me drop any expectations I have for Boba Fett's story, because I feel like this is just going to be another one of those episodes. So I wasn't that upset. I do want to see more of Boba Fett's story. I hope that it isn't rushed. I've seen a couple people in the chat ask if we think it's going to be rushed to kind of wrap his stuff up, but we still don't know if there's going to be another season of this. But I am trying to keep faith that, you know, the season will wrap up nicely. So
I would suspect that they're going to leave. They can't really jam in an entire like street war in one episode. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe they can, but
I think they can. I mean, I think they're going to cut some corners, but I remember last year for The Mandalorian season 2 being like, how are they going to wrap this up? Like we just spent a whole side quest with Bill Burr and an episode that I loved, but I was like, we spent a whole episode doing that, and I don't know how they're going to wrap it up in one more. And they did it just fine.
Right.
So I think that they're just going to have to, I don't know. I'm a little bummed that we didn't get more with Boba and the Rancor. I feel like he's just going to show up writing it. And they'll be like, it's going to take a lot of time and discipline, Boba Fett, and it's just going to happen. Yeah. But whatever.
That's one of those missed opportunities that I think about, like what's going on. What did we potentially miss out on while we're watching all the awesome Luke and Grogu stuff? And that's one of those things. And maybe we'll see a montage. I'll be worried. The first thing that I do when I put these episodes on is I hit the little time tracker up just to see how long the episode is going to be and how comfortable I can get. And if I pop it up and it's going to be like a 40-minute episode, which is probably, you know, the higher odds for that, I'm going to be a little bit worried. I don't know. And I think I think that's a good point about season 2 of The Mandalorian. But there you had the shortcut that helped that along was Luke showing up. Everything kind of built. You had this great fight with Gideon and Mando. Things kind of came to a head. And then Luke showed up and helped save the day. Really awesome scene. I don't know that we have that here. Everybody's sort of there on Tatooine. I wonder if they're going to leave it in a big cliffhanger, something that goes beyond the Pikes. This is a larger story, and
it's like that would be tough just because Din's going to go back to The Mandalorian season 3. So it would be weird if he's just like, well, good luck with that. See ya.
That sounds dangerous.
Oh shoot! I was just clicking also that. Yeah, I like the sound of that. Just let's give a little mini movie and
I noticed some comments on your review video today, Alex, that you did not even mention R2, and he definitely was one of the big cameos as well. Had a couple of people in the chat point him out. So
Yes,
yay
you're
for
right,
R2.
everyone. It was nice to see R2D2. I'm sorry I didn't mention him. Anytime you see R2D2, it's a good day.
He's been demoted to air traffic control now. As I'm like,
Yeah.
oh.
Distractor in chief.
Yeah.
I like the reveal where you just see his little radar dish.
Yeah.
From it was very Empire in the feel, and then it scrolls down. You hear his little beeps. Like, oh boy.
Yeah.
I like
Which
that he
you
just
don't see
powered
his-
down.
You don't see that little dish very often. I think we tried to count how many times in all the movies that we saw that.
Huh.
Don't tell
No.
Thomas that. Don't tell.
That's a freebie. You can have that one.
But yeah, R2D2 is great. I love that he just powers down when Din
Yeah,
is like,
he's like,
I need help.
Yeah.
And those
Here's this
ant
bench.
droids were cool.
Yeah, the spidery droid things. There's a ton of them.
That I don't know why that seemed odd to me that Luke just employed a bunch of these little like hundreds of ant droids to build his hut, but whatever.
I hope that's exactly what they end up getting called.
Were they made out of gonk droids? Is that what it was?
It
was
looks like something
gonk
like
droid
that. Yeah.
Bodies. Yeah, something like that.
It's like something Sid would put together in the first Toy Story.
Right.
Yeah, just crawling.
I stole
around.
all your Star Wars toys and look what I made out of them. It felt that was one of those like weird Star Wars moments that I really, really love. Something that's just completely out of the realm of what we know and what we've seen before. And they don't give you just have to figure out what it is they're doing and kind of observe. There's not a character that's there to explain or anything like that. It's just, this is part of the universe. It felt like it was like a very New Hope moment where you're just sort of like experiencing this and pick up on the context clues. And
yeah, no explanation. No, it's just like they're little construction droids,
Yeah,
and you're expected to figure that out.
Yeah, I loved it. And when Den said, "Is that a bench?" I like that.
I love that R2 is like, build him a bench, and so they do. And I wish I had R2's like power to just shut down and get out of any awkward conversation. You're like, nope, I'm asleep. Don't bother. I'm asleep. Sorry.
I'm loving Mando just having to take public transportation, having to wait on a bench. I think more Star Wars characters should be able to nap on benches whenever they're waiting around for stuff.
At least they put some leaves on it. They could have just left him to sit on the bamboo. That would have been uncomfortable.
Is it comfortable still through the helmet? I don't know.
That's true. Beskar can't be that forgiving. I don't think the armor put a lot of padding on the inside there.
Probably
do you all think that is Luke's Jedi temple from The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi? Or
I assume so,
else?
but
I think that's what Ahsoka meant by, like, she said something about it. I can't remember her exact line, but I think that's what it's meant to be. I know people are like, oh, the background's different, deforestation, all the trees are gone, and the flashback from the movies, but I think that's the place.
Yeah.
It's
also
on a hill,
like built up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, they can cut some trees down. That planet seemed untouched. You can deforest a little bit.
Yeah, don't worry. Yeah, what's Luke going to get hit with? Like a ticket from the EPA? No, I went back and I watched the flashbacks in the sequel trilogy, and you definitely have the dome, the stone-based dome, as the centerpiece. It's like built out, which makes sense for the evolution of something like that. There's also a line in the Rise of Skywalker visual dictionary for Agent Kloss that mentions. So Leia suggests this area for him, and then it says that Luke utilized it for his first temple location and training his first apprentice. And that probably means Leia, but now you can read it in a couple ways. Depends on how you look at Leia's relationship with him. But I thought that was Pablo is like known to sprinkle in those little nuggets way ahead of time in visual dictionaries. So might be Agent Kloss that we saw there.
Yeah, I mean, some of the terrain looked kind of like it, mountainous forest area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it definitely looked like Luke had set some stuff up to hang around for a while, like those little posts in the water and everything.
Yeah.
He
clearly figured out his little running track.
Yeah, I was like, oh, Luke's doing the same routine as he did on Dagobah.
How bad do you think that backpack smells?
Oh,
Is
it's
it
got a
the
reek.
same
There's no.
backpack?
It never dried out from Dagobah. Are you kidding me?
I did. It's the same backpack, same
Is it
buckles,
really?
same stripes.
That's adorable.
Greedo, you can relate to this, but you're out, you're training in any kind of like in the military in any kind of like wet weather conditions, and nothing ever dries out. It doesn't matter what you do to it. And if it does dry out, it just cracks and destroys, and then you get something else to get wet and stinky.
Absolutely. Yep. Your boots always stink.
Yeah. But what I like about this whole sequence is that Molly, you make a really great point about him just like recreating Yoda stuff. I think that was really intentional because like, what does Luke know? Like, what does he know about? He was told as Yoda died, train others, share your knowledge. You need to pass on what you have learned. And that came with no instructions whatsoever. And it's not as if Obi-Wan's ghost is cropping up and giving him pointers. And so really it's up to him. He's like a teacher without a lesson plan. He's got to come up with all this stuff on his own. We don't know, I think at this point in time, whether he's gotten the Jedi texts or whether that offers any insight about training other people. And so all he's got is what he did. And so he's going off of what worked for him. And I think finding out kind of quickly that it doesn't necessarily translate to every single Jedi.
Do you think he considered at all trying to ride on Grogu's back? Or he was like, oh, wait, no, that won't work.
All you have to do is tell him to not try. Just do it.
Just carry me. Just
carry me. Just carry me.
Get up. Keep on getting up.
Yeah, always get up.
Yes.
That kind of brings me to
super chat from Mr. Sunday Movies.
Oh, thanks.
Maybe Book of Boba Fett could have been written as an anthology series, which would have upset people less depending on what we're building to. P.S. As a father, I can relate to being 15 minutes late for everything.
15 is a success normally.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still trying to figure out what this series is. And I think that at the end of the day, everything within like the Mando verse, the Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, Rangers of the New Republic, if that winds up happening, like everything that's building towards what, like Mr. Sunday said, whatever they're building towards, I kind of think it's all gonna just be considered the same thing. And at the end of the day, these different series might have different focuses, but they're all gonna keep crossing over.
Sure.
I guess I'm just trying to mentally prepare myself for that.
I can see like 10, 15 years from now, there being like a giant chronological order of everything you need to watch. Like you got to watch first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian and the first season of Book of Boba Fett. And then you got to go back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like they do with the Clone Wars episodes.
Yeah.
Like, here's this convoluted way to watch all these random episodes if you want to do it chronologically.
400 hours of content.
Yeah.
But Thomas, you brought up a good point about Luke not knowing really what to do. And that kind of made me, I was surprised to see Ahsoka in the series, but I kind of want to see their first meeting. Like they are clearly familiar with each other. And I'm like, but how did you find him? And what did you say to each other? And I just hope that we get that at some point.
I just assume they've had every conversation that we've ever wanted them to have. They've done it. Like they've had the heart-to-heart talks about Anakin. They had to have.
It's kind of family friend line.
Yeah,
I'm an old
friend. That was great.
Friend of the family. Ugh.
Yeah, like a lot of this, it's stuff that I'm thrilled we got to see. But part of me is like, is the Book of Boba Fett the right place to do it? Because we could have had more. We could have let all of this breathe a little bit. And like, what if you had just saved it for Ahsoka, where we know like Hayden Christensen is going to be in it. That makes sense. So just have him and Ahsoka and Luke, and they're all sitting around talking to each other. And one of them's a Force ghost, and that's cool.
We might get like another crossover episode in Ahsoka where we go back to this planet and there's Luke and Grogu, and they have that episode where they have the conversations there.
And Din's sleeping on a bench in the background. Just to set it in the timeline.
What did we think of Luke and how he looked?
I thought it looked pretty good. I thought he
Much
looked pretty
better.
good. Yeah.
Better
The voice
than
kind of threw
the
me
end
off
of
from time to
sea-
time, but
Yeah. There was like a couple of parts where I was like, that looks spot on. That could actually be Luke. But for most of it, I was just like, man, I just can't get past it. It's not a real person that I'm looking at, and it's like all I can think about. But he did look really great. There were a couple of shots where you could see like his hair moving in the wind, and I was just like, man, somebody spent so many hours on this.
I thought when we first saw him and he's meditating and he's quiet and he's just kind of looking around, that was like indistinguishable from reality. I thought it was so well done. But yeah, then it gets then
it's kind of the same as like Tarkin or Leia in Rogue One, where like Tarkin turns around and I was like, whoa, and then he starts talking and I was like, it's a little off. But like,
when
it's
the
still
mouse
cool.
moves,
but I'm there
you
with
get
you.
like uncanny valley-ish, but
still
I
think
great.
I think Luke looks better, certainly better than he did in Mando season 2. I think he looks better than Tarkin in Rogue One. Like, this is still continuing to improve.
Yeah. I want to know what the Luke budget was alone. I had problems. There was a series. I personally had a serious like uncanny valley effect with him in Mando. The fight was fine because you didn't see his face, but as soon as he took the hood down, I was like, "Oh, this is weird for me." And I can deal with Tarkin in Rogue One. That's totally fine. My brain can deal with that. But I'm really glad my brain was able to process this, and I just sort of like watching. Not that he's digitized, but you suspend reality or suspend your brain in Solo and picture Alden as just Han. He's just Han. So in this, like, it's not Mark Hamill, but my brain has accepted that this is Luke.
Right.
Yeah. I think I feel that way. And like Molly, it didn't keep pulling me out. I guess that over and over, I had to remind myself, or I didn't keep getting reminded that like, yeah, this is a fake person. This is a digital person. Like, I don't know. Once I saw him and I was like, it looks better. I just bought into it and I was like, yeah, this is what it is.
Yeah.
Something in my brain just kept like making me obsess over picking him apart and like, he doesn't look quite right in this one part. I don't like it.
Yeah,
so
I get it. What if they keep going back like every 10 years and improving the CG on his face? Like 97 Jabba versus 2004 Jabba in the hangar.
And he says McClunky.
Oh no.
We had a $1 million budget on Luke alone. Just his face from the nose down. So, yeah.
I mean, they portrayed like some good emotion with him. I really liked when Luke was looking at Grogu and he's like, what am I going to do with him? I was like, that guy looks uncertain. Where in Mandalorian season 2, I felt like they were trying really hard to keep him stoic. Yeah. Like if he smiled or frowned too much, then it would just lose everything. But I felt a lot more emotion coming off of this version of Luke. And I loved that. There were still some moments where I felt like he could have been a little more emotive, especially in the way he talked. But I don't know.
Now, is his voice completely like synthesized? Is that what I heard? Like,
I think that's what they said in the Mando
voice
one. Yeah.
Okay.
It was for the Mandalorian. I don't know if they did the same thing for this.
Okay.
Because they have all the like audiobook tracks of them talking, and they just like put all that stuff into a computer, and it was like, here's a voice.
Yeah.
Which is terrifying.
Crazy. Yeah, for sure. Oh.
Mark Hamill, we can make you say anything now. If I just play this keyboard and you'll recite.
Right.
Make Mark Hamill sing WAP. Do it.
That's for like the Disney Plus tier. You get access to that content.
The R-rated Star Wars.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, I was gonna say the one of my favorite little moments was as they're walking together and he's just using the Force to catch Grogu up. Like he's not willing to match pace with him, so he's just like scooting him along, like, let's go.
It made me think of like when two parents are like swinging their kid in between them as they are walking. That kind of made me think of that.
Yeah.
I think that's actually a really good observation though. Like that he's not willing to slow down for Grogu, that, you know, he's feeling uncertain. Ahsoka didn't want to teach Grogu, and she respected Luke's decision too, but like maybe he is going at this a little too fast.
Yeah, Mando just picked him up.
Well, then he goes straight from that into, you know, he can't translate. Theoretically, like maybe R2 could come up and translate for Grogu, but he doesn't know what he's saying. And he's like, hey, do you remember really anything? Do you want to remember? Oh, I'm not going to wait. Look, let's remember now.
Yeah,
then,
he looked a little iffy about that at first.
Yeah, he looked a little scared. And then
I guess I was hopeful. Like, Ahsoka was able to read his mind, basically. So I'm assuming Luke is doing the same. I hope he's not just like, do you want to remember? Here, remember.
I want to see. I want to see
trauma.
Oh, cool, badass! This is a cool scene. Let's go back to that one.
I want to see.
I love
that
the 501st.
I will say that was really cool.
Yeah, no, that was very cool. I'm like pausing the screen on my second watch through, like trying to identify those Jedi from the rear.
And since we're talking about that exact scene, and I just saw Ordinary Adventures. Oh, what's up, Ordinary Adventures? Pete. Did you catch Barasafi's crest on the wall in Order 66 scene? Probably the most obscure reference in the episode. Yes, I did notice that, and I'm trying to decide if that is Barasafi's crest. You can see like this symbol on the walls, and I was looking back through the episode concept art, and it definitely only appears in that Barasafi episode and in her room, but it appears on other doors as well. So I'm like trying not to go too far down that tinfoil hat like rabbit hole to think that might be Barasafi. That like she's going to come out that door and save Grogu or something.
It feels like something Dave Filoni would put in there on purpose to because like he's talked about Barasafi and like having plans for her in the past. So it sounds like something he would do. Like, I'm going to put this up here and just make people think and obsess over it.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
Like classic Filoni, like, I don't know. Am I?
Yeah. Interesting.
The future could be anything. I don't know.
But did you guys have any thoughts on also Jedi Mullet? Thank you so much for the super chat. Any ideas on who or what saved Grogu from the Jedi Temple? Could it have been the janitor?
Himself. He didn't need some master to save him.
I have an idea.
Yeah, we talked about this earlier today.
I'm gonna guess nobody. Like, it definitely feels like a scene that we could jump back into and we see the end of, and then like Barasafi kicks the door in and saves him. But I kind of wonder, because in season 2, Ahsoka says that someone took him from the Jedi Temple and then his memory gets hazy. So I'm like, what if the 501st just took him and then he winds up at like Mount Tantus, and then the Bad Batch saves him from Mount Tantus? So that
another
like
cameo.
that could tie us back into the Bad Batch, and then Grogu can be in that series. Like, I'm kind of wondering if no one saved him,
because it looked like they were headed straight for him, and he was just kind of sitting there like, well, guess I'll die.
And notice they didn't fire. It would have been really easy for them, because it's not like they came into close quarters range to the Jedi. I mean, they had enough sense to stay back and just use their blasters. They could have easily just opened fire, firing squad style at Grogu, but they didn't. I had this feeling that maybe he's, what they would call like a high value target. He's a known quantity. This is a species that's probably rare, at least from what the audience knows. And Palpatine certainly would know about the existence of these creatures and their force powers. Old Sheev is nothing if not good at experimenting in weird ways to extract force powers. He's kidnapped Padawans before in not too distant history from that moment in time. It makes sense that the clones that were going in there might have like a high value target list. Hey, if kill or capture, ideally capture this Padawan, special orders, bring him to Tantus or wherever.
Yeah, Palpatine hated Yoda.
Make his own little green friend.
He whooped his butt.
I hate Yoda, but the baby is cute.
Yeah.
I still wouldn't be surprised if in the next episode we see like the end of that flashback, but who knows? Like part of me was expecting to see some familiar Jedi run in and
Was anyone else like when Luke was asking him to remember and like about his past and stuff, did anyone else at first think that it was going to show like his species and like his homeworld and stuff? Because like that's the first thought that I had, and I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. And then I was like, oh wait, no, it's Order 66.
I kind of thought it would just be him at the temple. I wasn't expecting Order 66 right away.
Yeah.
I thought maybe we'd even see like Yoda because Luke was talking about him. But yeah, I think the whole Order 66 thing was just to show Grogu's fear at connecting with the Force, and that's kind of the thing he has to get over. And Luke telling him it's okay to not hide who you are anymore.
Yeah. And every time I think that I'm emotionally over Order 66, what are we closing in on 20 years from Revenge of the Sith? It just like these wounds get reopened emotionally. So as emotional as it was for Grogu, that was an emotional scene to watch, and it really kind of puts like a pair of glasses on the fear that he shows and sort of this I love the idea, the point that Luke makes, like it's more him remembering than me teaching him anything. So clearly a box is being unlocked in him, and it's been sealed by this like these really traumatic events. So I'm glad we got to see it, although I hate the sight of Jedi going down to clones.
It's so similar to Fallen Order, where Cal just needs to get over his own trauma. It's basically the same story. Except Grogu gets to do it in a little montage, and you have to go unlock it in Fallen Order. I think we've talked about just about everything in this episode. Does anyone have anything else they wanted to talk about before we jump into questions?
No, I hope he picks the Beskar. I hope he picks
that's
the
a great.
Beskar.
No, that's a great question. Yeah, what do you guys think he's going to choose?
I think he's going Beskar. As cool it would be, because the other choice, I really like whoever made the comment that it's both. That's my ideal world. He snatches it and just runs, but or waddles. But I think he's going to go Beskar. I think attachment, as we've seen with plenty of other Jedi in the world, to include Luke, is a huge force to grapple with, and I think he has a deep connection. Like him watching the N1 take off, having not even seen Mando, was really powerful. You knew that he felt Mando on the planet there, and so I think he's gonna go off. The thing about Grogu is that he can go off with Mando for Mando's entire life, like until see him off to the Mandalorian old age home, and then come back to Jedi training. And it's as if no time has passed for him. He's like maybe 110 at that point or something like that. Basically like a 7-year-old. And
he's gonna come back to Luke's temple like Troy in Community with the pizza. Everything's on fire. Like what just happened?
Kylo, that baby. Oh.
I want to see Mando in like the Mandalorian old folks home telling people about how he took down a crate dragon back in my day, and they're like, "Okay, buddy,
shut up, Din."
I raised a little frog child man. All right, he was 50. Okay.
I love the crate dragon skull strapped to the top of the
that was a nice touch. Yeah,
I hope that could be like a running joke where we keep seeing this sandcrawler and they're adding more to it. It's like this weird pirate ship.
It felt like in the original Grinch, when he puts like he's dressing up Max the dog, and he puts the reindeer antlers on him and he just tips over. Just like you put one more jaw on the front end of that thing and the whole thing is going to go down in the sand.
Yeah. I see some people asking about Max Rebo. We can talk about the big bomb at Garsa Fwip's sanctuary.
Real quick, I want to make sure that Greedo, where do you hope he chooses the chainmail as well?
I do.
Molly, what do you feel?
Yeah, he's got to go back to Den.
Yeah. I mean, and none of us has mentioned, like, come on, you
Look,
put this thing
it's
on
right
your
there.
ship and you're not going to put Grogu in it?
True,
Yeah.
true.
Like,
Yeah.
It's a little
gotta
Grogu
be.
pod.
yeah.
Mando's probably already put a little name tag in there, like reserved for Grogu.
Yeah,
booster
he's got the
seat.
little shifter ball
Yep.
ready for him to play with.
Little sippy cup holder in there. It's perfect.
But yeah, Molly, to talk about Max Rebo, he's fine. Just like Cobb Vanth, Max is fine.
Because
He's
we get processed otherwise.
yeah.
I'm not going to lose two of my favorites within minutes of each other. I refuse to do that.
Too much trauma for Alex.
Wait, did we see him in this episode? I don't remember.
No.
Okay.
No.
So
I looked very closely.
all right,
He was on another gig.
there
He
we
had the
go.
night off. I don't care what it was, but he was not there.
I think Boba Fett hired him as part of the muscle, and he just like wasn't at that little meeting. Or Boba Fett liked his music, and he's like, "Hey, come play your music for me over here." So he's safe.
The last scene of this series is going to be like they've won the war and they're going to have another little like Ewok victory celebration, but Max Rebo is going to play at the end.
Yeah.
That's what everyone's dancing to.
I think in reality, what it honestly is he saw the twins and they had that cool drummer, and he's like, well, I'm not going to be carried in on a litter, but that would be cool to have entrance music. And what better alien to provide that than Max Rebo? Just put him on a little like hover sled or something like that, and he just like plays his little jet organ.
That would be cool.
But that
What
was
a
pretty
hero.
shy. I hope Garza Flip survived. That was pretty shy. The stakes went up in that. It was sort of like any kind of collaborators, anybody who's done business with Boba is going to pay the price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
We
was
kept
over here.
saying
Yeah,
that-
I did not trust her. So
Yeah.
sorry, Garza.
I thought she was like, yeah, working with the Pikes from the beginning because she
Yeah.
seemed to just like know everything that was going on, but that doesn't seem like it. She's just running a cool bar.
Yeah. The moment they said no, the Pikes said no to getting their helmets cleaned, they knew something was up. This is
Yeah.
trouble.
And Molly, you pointed out that she had like a scar on her chest or her neck that
Yeah,
we
I
hadn't
don't
seen
know
before.
I don't know if that means anything, but like I went
I
back
think it
and
does.
all the other episodes, it was covered up by like something she was wearing, but this one had it like pretty prominent. You could see she had a big scar going across here. So
I mean, I think that could speak to a past as a slave and just the idea that she was someone that kind of like Boba Fett reinvented herself and made this awesome sanctuary place. I've really changed my tune on Garza. I was like super against her, like she's up to no good, and now I'm like, oh, she was a treasure.
You talked yourself right into her fan club.
Yeah.
Just trying to keep the peace, man. Just trying
Yeah.
to keep her bar operating. Yeah.
By this episode, there's like a very like Maz Kanata feel to her. Like she's just running this place. People are up to no good, but this is a literal sanctuary where you can come and with the exception of a raging Wookiee on occasion, this is a safe space for you to just hang out with your criminal buddies and not get shot up.
mhm.
Yeah.
And she's got her buddies to like go and clean people's helmets, which I wonder if she like tells that to everybody and they're like, we get it, like we're not falling for that again. Every time I
Anyone
give
with a
you my helmet, yeah, I get in trouble or something. Something happens.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
Oh no, I think it. My prediction there is word is going to obviously travel back quickly. I think Garza, it's established that she's a fairly big player in the Mos Espa scene, and the bigger thing is I go back to Cobb Vanth's kind of speech to the Pikes at the beginning, where Mos Eisley has this reputation as this lawless place, like anything goes in Mos Eisley. But there's some semblance of order, law and order in Mos Espa, and like these kind of things don't happen. So for the Pikes to blow up a place of business like this, and somebody like Garza Fwip, who clearly has a rep, and probably some other criminal players in there who are connected with the families and stuff. That really raised the stakes. If the episode had ended there, it'd have been just as big, well, not quite as big a like oh man moment as the character select screen from Luke, but still, I was pretty shocked. The last thing I expected to see was a Camtono bomb go off.
How far it's come.
Not just for credits anymore.
Speaking of, did that droid have Anthony Daniels' voice? Is that?
Oh, the one that came after them?
Yeah, it sounded like him.
Didn't see him in the credits, but I did not look that close.
I would not be surprised.
Yeah,
I thought Anthony Carboni said something about maybe that being him because they have that weird social media feud.
Might have been. I don't know.
I'll check. But yeah.
Okay, well, while you do that, we're about to get into questions and super chats. But before we do that, just real quick, I want to throw it to Thomas and Greedo. Just let everyone know where they can follow you online, what you do, all that good stuff. Yeah, so my Twitter handle, as creative as it is, just as creative as yours, Greedo, and yours, Alex, and yours, Molly, is down there. I'm normally just yelling about Y-Wings on Twitter. You've shown a lot of restraint tonight, and I appreciate that.
I have. My over-under was like 4.7 seconds or something, and I've just blown that. It's taken until now. It's sad. Sad. So I do the movie Trivia Schmodown, and hopefully I'll be in action at Star Wars Celebration. If you're out there, that'll be a fun match. However that shakes out. Alex mentioned I do The Legal Geeks, which is a podcast and blog where we look at it's a bunch of lawyers who are also massive Star Wars nerds, and we look at legal issues in Star Wars. So, can Din legally adopt Grogu? Who's the lawful owner of R2-D2 and C-3PO? Did the Jawas commit a crime when they assaulted and stole Boba Fett's armor when he crawled out of the Sarlacc?
Oh, I love that, man. That sounds awesome.
It's a lot of fun. We're hoping to be at Celebration. I won't spoil any of the pitches, but we have a Mandalorian related mock trial that's been pitched. So we'll see if that makes it through. But we've done some stuff like court-martialing Poe Dameron at Comic-Con, which is fun. And then you can also find me on the Joint Geeks of Staff, which is like a national security / sci-fi related podcast where people that are in that national security space or diplomatic space talk about like real world issues through Star Wars and Star Trek to help folks kind of understand like real world things that are going on. So it's a lot of fun. And I get ribbed constantly for there's an F-15 pilot that I'm a co-host with, and he does not like Y-Wings, and we don't get along, but he's a colonel and I'm just a lowly major. So
nice. Oh, we got 2 new subscribers on your podcast. That sounds really interesting, man. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah.
But I'm HelloGreedo. I got a YouTube channel. I ramble a bunch. I have a Twitter account and an Instagram account, and that's really about it, man. That's me in a nutshell. Go subscribe.
And you've got a book.
And a book.
I got a book. Yeah, sorry about the mess.
You're an author.
Yeah, kinda. I suppose so.
That's Dr. HelloGreedo to you.
And Star Wars 95 asked how you can find this. I put links to most of this stuff down in the description. I didn't know about everything you do, Thomas. I knew about the Legal Geeks and your Twitter and the Schmodown.
Yeah. The Joint Geeks started out as like a thing. I got invited I went to the Naval Academy. They were like, we're doing this thing called NavyCon. And I was like, okay, well, I was stationed nearby, so I'll go out and stomach some Navy presence. And it was just a bunch of, there was like a NASA astronaut there talking about Starship Troopers. And they had a congressman that was talking about his love of Star Trek Voyager and talking about some issues there. And it just has spiraled into this podcast and stuff. So it's fun.
That's great, man.
And you learn something.
Awesome. Well, we are going to dive into our super chats, and we've got like 70. So we're going to start going. I'll reiterate to Greedo and Thomas that if you get tired, you don't have to feel obligated.
I could probably hang for another 30 or so.
You're good. But Lawrence Fletcher had the first one, which just says Grota's Yoda jumps were adorable. And yeah, Molly,
Oh,
you
his little
pointed that out.
jumps. Oh man, when I was like trying to figure out what to draw, I was like, how do I draw him trying to jump? Because that was like maybe the cutest thing I've ever seen. And Luke was like, come on, you can do better than that. And I was like, this little tiny jump. So cute.
Thomas, I need to briefly, you just showed your profile picture there, and you got to bring the stash back. I've never liked you more.
My wife told me, so that was an Afghanistan only feature. And my wife told me if I ever grow any of it back, it's like insta divorce. So she'll feed me to I'll be fed to a crate dragon. And she'll find one inevitably.
I want you to tell her that I say she's wrong.
You don't want to go there, Alex.
Yeah.
You don't want to.
She's
start
wrong.
Matt McDonald has the next super chat. Hello. Do you think the Darksaber's origins could inspire Luke to accept Grogu as a Mandalorian Jedi rather than having to choose one or the other?
I like the idea of Grogu not choosing one or the other. I think he's going to make a choice in the show. Also, I don't know that Luke. We talked about this last week, and everyone was like, "Is Luke going to train
even
Din?"
know what the Darksaber is? Like,
Yeah, I feel like Din would be like, "Check this out," and he'd be like, "What's that?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me check my notes from my 5 days with Yoda. I don't see this.
Yeah, just like
he didn't mention
flipping through books.
It's like
None of the ancient texts say anything about this.
Yeah. So from a storytelling perspective, it's got to be one or the other, because that's the conflict, or that is the new conflict for Grogu. And it's, quite frankly, we didn't touch on this in the breakdown, but one of my favorite parts of the episode was Ahsoka kind of talking through Mando's conflicts and saying, hey, are you doing this for you or for him? And it just sort of ends with that line where he's like, I've come so far. He's right there. And I just felt that in my bones. And you know that as we see Grogu evolve and grow up and whatnot, it's going to be torn, because I think he does have a sense of attachment and duty on some level to the Jedi Order. He's got a lot of history with it. So that's not going to be something that's easy for him to cast off.
Yeah, and it was also difficult for Grogu to leave in the first place.
Yeah.
To say, like, to basically ask Din for permission to go, and then he did, and then for Din to show back up, it's kind of like interfering with all of that. But I think it will be better if Grogu makes the choice himself to go back to Din without Din showing up and being like, remember me?
Yeah, that was Din coming a long way as a parent. I think a lot of parents could ask themselves more often, like, am I doing this for me or for them? Which one is better? That was a nice moment.
Yeah.
And I liked that Ahsoka wasn't going to stop Din. She's like, if you want to go see him, you can go see him, if that's what you really super want.
Yeah, she's like, I don't give a damn about the Jedi Order. That's a story for another day, but
yeah, that's a story for my TV show.
Yeah. Here's an episode guide.
Yeah, everything about all the decisions I really, really enjoyed. Like Luke saying, Mandalorian or Jedi, like, you choose. And even though Luke's a Jedi, he just didn't seem like he was nudging that lightsaber closer.
Right.
He was just like, what do you want, Grogu? Like, this should be your choice. And I liked that a lot.
I don't know why I was thinking that, like, the first time that we see Luke's new school, it's going to be completely jam-packed and populated, and there's going to be kids running around. Like, for whatever reason, I thought that was going to be the case. I didn't expect, like, there's one solitary child and it's Grogu. You know?
Yeah.
like outside of daycare, like accepting Padawans age 6 months to 3 years.
Right.
Luke's gonna go to all the malls in the area, like a talent agency. And he's like, anybody got some force powers?
You got some great teeth, kid.
Just put your headshots right here.
Yeah.
I want that to happen. I love that.
Oh yeah, I do like that this is the first time, or one of the only times, we've ever really seen a choice be given to a Padawan. You know, for the most of what we've seen from the Jedi Order, the kids are plucked from their families when they're too young to understand what's going on. The parents, I guess, have a say. I don't really know. But the kid doesn't have a say in it. And that's their life. They're just sort of indoctrinated in it for better or for worse. And the exceptions are the folks like Ahsoka who kind of find their way into or back their way into a choice. That's not the rule. And so for Luke to lay this out in front of Grogu, I mean, this is the only creature that he knows of this race other than Yoda. I mean, this is like prime student material. And I thought it was a real mature moment and a real growth moment for Luke to look at all of that, look at what he's trying to build with the Academy and say, I recognize what you're struggling through. Let me put the decision in your hands, not do what I think is best for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I will make it hard because I'll wave this lightsaber around.
Yeah.
Isn't this neat?
Well, it reminded me of when Luke leaves his training on Dagobah. Like, he's like, I gotta go help my friends. And so I wonder how much he was thinking about his own decisions when it came to training.
Mm-hmm. So. Matthew A. Rudoy asked if Max Rebo was in the sanctuary at the end of the episode. We did already touch on that. I'm going to say no. He's fine. He lives. Max Rebo lives. He could, even if he was, he survived Jabba's sail barge explosion. He can do it again. Explosions do not kill Ortolans. I think that's canon.
Yeah, just so cushy. He just
He absorbs bones.
Yeah. He just...
I like that. That's no bones in that man.
Or there's a little button on his organ
floppy
that like just puts a shield over his head, and then he's protected. He's in like a little ball.
Yeah.
They go to the wreckage and you just see him like splatted cartoon style against the wall, and he just like kind of melts down and he's like, oh, on to the next gig.
I'm fine.
There's another boss dead.
Yeah. Madman's Knowledge has the next two super chats. First one is Yoda and Obi tell Luke to let go of his attachment to Vader so he can kill him, but Luke uses his attachment to save Vader, thus proving the old Jedi way was wrong. So why is Luke like this with Grogu?
Because he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
What we know of Luke, and we have the benefit of the sequel trilogy to put some perspective on it. He doesn't have everything figured out, and he fails repeatedly, and doesn't necessarily immediately grow from it. So, he would have to have like some self-reflection. That's a really deep point to bring up, and I don't know, with everything that he's gone through, and as hectic as things have been, if he's really had time to reflect on that really deep aspect of his own character and his own decision making. And so I think in this moment, he's at a loss when he talks to Ahsoka. He trusts her judgment, or he trusts her opinion and her guidance, and he's just trying to do what's best. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, then Grogu falls to the dark side, and there's a really cool battle down the line. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, that's like, he has no safety net. He's just doing what he thinks is right. And like, who's helping? We don't know how often Yoda or Obi-Wan show up. Ahsoka pops in for a minute, and then she's off to probably go save Ezra and star in her own series. So like, he's just on his own. Yeah. And all he has are the ancient Jedi texts, which apparently he never read. So,
they only had a few pictures in them.
Yeah.
And he might even realize that this either or decision is goofy in itself. You know what I mean? He might come to that realization.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there was something that I really liked about, just the idea that he gave him the choice at all. It reminded me of The Last Jedi when he said, to say that if the Jedi die, the light dies, that's vanity. And it's like, you can serve the light as a Mandalorian, technically. Like, so I trust you, Grogu, to do the right thing no matter what. So I did really like that. But as a Jedi, I think he might be sticking too strictly to like what they did before instead of learning the lessons.
Well, I'm sure that the speech of Yoda's that he gives, like wagging the finger at Luke. Molly, you brought up the scene where he takes off and leaves Dagobah and leaves his training behind. That was a pretty pointed speech that Yoda gives to him. He's just like, "You're going to become an agent of evil." It's just like all death and gloom. And I'm sure that stuck with him, both in that moment and then in the few years that follow up to this point. So it makes sense that Luke is like, well, I guess I can make him worry about the consequences of this decision. You're going to forsake the Jedi and this and that. You won't get this cool lightsaber. So, yeah.
It is so true. Like Yoda says so much stuff that does not happen. He's like, if you go down there, like you're done. Like it's gonna be terrible. And it's like, no, it doesn't happen.
It's like me with my toddler. I'm like leveling threats that I know I can't cash. But I'm not
if you
gonna
eat
follow
that
through.
cookie, it will dominate your destiny.
No more M&Ms ever in this house. I'm like, but I want M&Ms.
And then their second super chat was a lightsaber that looks like Yoda's was destroyed in the Vader comic. So which Jedi copied his lightsaber and which does Luke have, the original or the fake? Or did Yoda make two identical lightsabers? So yeah, this came up. Alex told me earlier that people were like, oh, his lightsaber was destroyed in the comics. And my first thought was like, yeah, maybe, I mean, Yoda has been around for quite a while. Maybe he had more than one. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think that's a distinct possibility. Go ahead, Greedo.
No. I think Matt Martin said something about Yoda having multiple lightsabers at some point on Twitter. I think I saw that. But how was it destroyed? Was it melted down? Is that what it was?
I can't remember.
That's the
I don't
implication.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
If I remember correctly, I think like Vader or somebody is like holding it, and they're like, it's Yoda's lightsaber, and he's about to chuck it into like a big vat where, yeah, they're just melting him down.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's been around for 900 years. He's like Obi-Wan has wielded multiple sabers. A lot of Jedi, Luke. So it would make sense that he'd have other sabers out there.
Yeah.
And for all, we don't know how Luke came into possession of this. He may only know what was told to him about this. I mean, that's Yoda's hilt. But who knows?
He bought it at like a gift shop.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, this is it. It's
they also haven't. It doesn't happen a lot because the story group does its job, but they have not hesitated to deviate from certain points in comics or whatever where it doesn't fit what they're trying to do on screen. Because the on-screen material, as great as the comics and novels are, it is sort of second rank ordered to everything that's on screen. So I have to imagine if Filoni's like, he's like George now. He's like, well,
right.
Okay, Yoda's lightsaber exists. That didn't happen in the comics. So it's possible that a retcon happened.
Also, apparently, like in a reference book, like Alex, you told me this earlier that they were showing
use the refresher so bad, and then I heard the question as I was running by her door. I was like, oh no.
What was the reference book that had Yoda's lightsaber in it?
Complete Locations.
And so that was technically Legends, but maybe like Dave Filoni was still under the impression that his lightsaber was in the hut and never in a comic.
Like I bet Filoni knew about the comic and was just like, no,
yeah,
I think it's nice for this to be the symbol of Grogu's choice. So now we just have to fill in the gaps and be like, all right, well, either Yoda had two lightsabers or he made another one, or Palpatine made a fake and burned that one. Like, we'll just make up some answer. That Palpatine guy, I don't know if we can trust him.
Yeah.
He doesn't always tell the truth.
Shifty Sheev.
I don't know if Sheev has our best interests at heart.
Probably not.
Jack Smith has the next question. Thank you, Jack. How do you think the finale will wrap up Boba Fett's story from episodes 1 through 4? He is supposedly the heart of the show, right? His memory as a kid with the Slave One hasn't been fulfilled yet, at the least. It's so weird how like 2 weeks without Boba Fett, and I'm like, What was he even up to?
Hmm.
I feel like I've forgotten so much.
It's like mowing the
don't-
lawn at the palace.
Yeah.
Just
I-
waiting for
I-
the war to start.
He's been training with the Rancor this whole time, probably.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know that we're going to see that specific memory play out any further. Is that what the question's saying? Or just that
I don't know.
memory has...
It could or it couldn't. Like, I feel like I've gotten enough thematically from it of just this idea that Boba Fett was raised to be the best bounty hunter, but like that's the life of a bounty hunter, is that his dad just kept going off alone. The life of a bounty hunter is loneliness, and now he's found his tribe. I still think that there is something we could see added onto it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think realistically, with the time that we have left, you know, if we get an hour and a half, I will do a standing backflip in happiness as I hit play. But I think they're going to be cutting corners. I think was the phrase that was used earlier. They're going to have to be real careful with the time that they use, and I think a lot of it's going
Efficient
to
in
be
their
battle.
storytelling, I think,
Yeah.
is a nice way to put it.
Yeah, it's going to be battle. It's going to be one. You know, the bulk of the time is going to be on battle. I think they've brought his these character development moments for Boba in the first 4 chapters have happened and have put him where he is right now. Now it's hopefully just action time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, I think they'll probably cut a few corners or like end it on a cliffhanger and say like book 2 of Book of Boba Fett coming next year
Yeah.
or something like that.
Do you think Grogu's choice will be left for The Mandalorian season 3, or do you think that storyline will be wrapped up in the Book of Boba Fett?
I hope Mando season 3, because like that's how I felt at the end of the last episode. I was like, okay, maybe we'll see Mando go visit Grogu at the beginning of his show's season, but who knows?
I will guess the post-credit scene for the Book of Boba Fett season 1 is Din landing on the planet and meeting up with Grogu in his little shirt. Like that, and then that'll lead us into Mando season 3. Because I would much rather they do that than do some post-credit scene that leads into Kenobi. I'm like, I don't want I don't want these series to get too like Marvel-y, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. It'll end
Or
with
Luke
that
and-
scene. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, or Luke and Grogu are still sitting in the hut, and he's like, I don't.
It's been days.
I don't.
Luke's asleep. He's just like,
Yeah, Luke's
tap
got a
me.
beard.
Grogu's like, I got all the time in the world, man. You want to play this game with me?
Yeah, I'm gonna live to be 900. Guiguio, thanks for the question. Barris Offie's crest can be seen on the walls of the Order 66 flashback scene. Do you think that's a clue that she's the one that got Grogu out? We've kind of addressed this, and maybe it does seem like something Filoni would do, but I'm trying not to think too much into it.
Wouldn't she be in prison right now? I mean,
Right.
yeah, she's in jail, presumably. I think they didn't need much to get that conviction. And so I don't know what's going on with the like new or the Republic prison system during the time of
Yeah.
Order 66, but yeah.
Would someone have maybe let her out during Order 66 for
She
whatever
would have
reason?
to escape. Well, you like that's an interesting quiz. This is like making me want a Barris Offie like series. But so clones man those prisons as we've seen in the Clone Wars. As we saw with Ahsoka in season 7, their status about whether they're in good order, good order with the Jedi Order, or good standing rather, doesn't really matter to the clones. You're either a Jedi or you're not. And so presumably she'd be a target. So wouldn't put it past her to kill the clones and escape. But why she would go back to the temple,
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to just think of that symbol as more like this is a Jedi living area. There's nothing I was looking at like the episode guide and the concept art for The Wrong Jedi, and it just says it's a new symbol on the doors in the Jedi living quarters. But it does look like it could be affiliated with Barasafi because of all the diamonds. It looks like her face tattoos. So I'm like, this could go either way.
I hope, I don't, the actress has passed away, Alethea McGrath, but wouldn't that be cool if like a Jocasta Nu with like that lightsaber rifle from the comics just comes out and starts like smoking clones? I got a gun belt full of kyber crystals to fire at you.
That would be awesome. Yeah. I don't know. My first thought was like, I mean, they could work Barriss into the Ahsoka show because they have quite a bit of history. So I could see Dave Filoni concocting some kind of story involving the two of them. But with like Ezra and Thrawn and everything, I don't know if there's room for her. But could be.
Yeah. I'm like 50-50 on it. I could kind of see it, but I'm leaning more towards nobody saved Grogu. The clones took him.
Yeah.
But I wanted to jump on this real quick. Matthew Mahaney, thanks for the super chat. But also, I do not know what the IMDb episode 7 spoiler is. I don't want to know. So we'll keep the chat spoiler free, please. But thank you for asking first.
Chances are it was somebody that put that in IMDb because anyone can edit those.
Yeah, IMDb is not a good, reliable source for.
I'm about to put myself in. I'll announce my own guest starring role in chapter 7 here. Mos Espa lawyer who also dies immediately.
Mos Espa lawyer in the sanctuary.
Have you been involved in a speeder accident? Boom.
Space Vespa.
Oh, don't bring those up again. My goodness.
They're coming back. They're probably going to be in the next episode.
Yeah. Kyle Beckworth with the next super chat. Do you think Luke is on Agent Kloss? Amazing episode. My heart is happy. Love these book reports. Thanks. Thank you. Do we think he's on Agent Kloss?
We kind of addressed this because Thomas brought that up. Pablo Hidalgo's tweet, and maybe that's the answer to everything tonight. Maybe.
Yeah.
I think so. It's
jungly planet. It's quite possible.
Yeah. It's it's not an easy thing to establish. I have to assume that there's some Leia in the reference materials. Leia suggested Agent Kloss because it's secluded. Basically, it's off grid. It's remote. I don't know that there's a force connection to it, like akin to like an Ilum or something like that. But it's got to be logistically like a pain to just set up a new. You got to pack up all your androids and go to another spot with rocks and stuff like that. So I think it'd be cool. I hope it's Agent Kloss. I think that's the way to work in like really cool, subtle connections to other material. So you want to rope in a connection to the sequel trilogy. That to me is like a payoff moment where they're not like in your face about it, but you pick it up and you get it.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah. Power Rangers Rock had a prediction for earlier that I drew something with Cobb Vanth or Cad Bane. I did both. And Molly drew one with Grogu. Wanted to put that out there in case
3 for 3.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Go buy a Powerball ticket now.
And Dan Cohen, thank you for the next super chat. I'm confused as to how Din knew where to go to find Luke in the first place. It doesn't seem like Luke would have told him that before he took Grogu. He had one of those little trackers.
A lot of questions involving how people know where other people are in this show. And it feels like one of those just like hand wavy things. Like, he told him and he had it saved in his little locations computer maps.
Luke has Find My Friends turned on.
Yeah.
Drop me a pin, Grogu.
But he doesn't even know Din's name. He calls him Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I do like that everyone does that. Like, this is the Mandalorian. Like, there are others.
Yeah. Din likes that, though. He's like, yeah.
I am the Mandalorian.
Let's see. Doomslayer 420. Thank you for the super chat. Here are the important questions. Are we going to see live action Toto 360? Also, where's the toothpick gate coming back? Toto. Do you think we'll get another live action Toto droid? Because is it the same droid as the rat catcher one?
No, this one's like the one that flies around, voiced by Seth Green.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm thinking of a different one. Never mind.
I hope so. I don't know if that would be like too much to add on to like someone like my parents. I don't know. People who are like, I just got used to the Western man. Who's this little sidekick he has?
Yeah. Why is he blue?
Yeah. I hope he's in there. I just the thing that I wonder about is they've brought him in as this big bad. Do they want, because he's comedic relief, right? He does certain things, but do they want that? Do they need that for this last episode?
Right.
Probably
Yeah,
not.
because this isn't the Clone Wars. It's like it's still child accessible, I guess. It's not crazy violent, but it's not the other way around where it's like this is made for kids that's adult accessible.
Yeah. I hope so though.
They made Cad Bane like perfectly menacing. I thought it was the best possible like live action recreation of a cartoon character. It was great. Some people in my chat earlier were wondering if it was CG or practical. What do you guys think?
I was trying to figure it out too.
It looked mostly practical to me. They may have done some CG around his mouth because I could see where the prosthetic was crinkling up. Otherwise, it looked pretty practical to me.
Just the texture of it looked real. And that's for the toothpick thing. I wonder if they tried it and like the teeth just couldn't. They kept like putting a toothpick in it, kept falling out, and they're like, "Screw it, no toothpicks."
We got to figure this out before Chapter 7, guys. It's got to come out.
We'll do a digital toothpick. Make it work, Filoni.
Yeah. Alex, do you want to read Alex Franco's?
Yeah, I see it. Thank you so much, Alex Franco. Very insanely generous super chat. Cad Bane, that was crazy. Do you guys think that the last episode of the Book of Boba Fett or Mando season 2.5 will set up the Mandalorian season 3? Maybe a scene of someone breaking out Moff Gideon, maybe another certain blue alien, maybe a certain Grand Admiral. If you'd asked me before the last 2 weeks, I would have said maybe, but I'm kind of thinking no now. Like, I do think that they'll set up season 3 of Mando, but not that much.
I think they're gonna. I know you don't want it to happen, but I feel like a lot of these shows are gonna end with some kind of connecting scene to go into whatever's like coming next.
I think that'll happen for the Mandalorian season 3. I don't think Thrawn's gonna be in it. That's it.
Yeah, he seems like a big bomb to drop, and to some people he would just be like another blue guy. Like, who is that?
Well, another blue guy with red eyes.
Yeah, it would. I'm trying to think of how that would fit, because if he's involved with Gideon's in New Republic control, presumably going before the New Republic Tribunal, which is like an awesome like Star Wars legal shout out that I want to see an entire series on. But that would be like a really weird, like disjointed, like you'd have to, and like Thrawn is always sort of the architect. He's not necessarily the doer, like pulling the trigger. So I won't rule out like a post-credit scene that sets something up for Mando season 3, but I feel like we got like the perfect moment with Grogu and Luke. That's a cliffhanger that nobody's gonna forget.
Yeah.
I'm
kind of weird talking about post-credit scenes. Feels so weird.
I guess I'm expecting one after Mando season 2.
Yeah.
But I don't want it to go crazy. Like, and they've already started leading into the Mandalorian season 3, so they don't need one.
Yeah. I mean, I would prefer if they were gonna have one at the end, that it be like Book of Boba Fett will continue with something else, maybe a title or a scene or something, just to give us a little more Boba Fett action that we missed in the past 2 episodes.
Yeah. What I would honestly prefer is just like I think any kind of scene setting up season 3 is going to naturally detract to some degree from whatever cliffhanger, because I'm assuming there's going to be some sort of cliffhanger. I don't know that they're going to fully resolve this, but if you do something like bring in Kira to Boba Fett's story as a bigger bad, and then you like end in this awesome moment, and then you like, well, wait, there's some Mando stuff here. I won't argue for more Star Wars. I will be happy, and I will like gobble it up and watch it 15 times. But it would just kind of sap a little bit of energy from that moment, I think. And yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I love the MCU. I don't want Star Wars to be too much like it.
Yeah. The MCU has ruined movies. I love the MCU, but it's ruined movies and franchises.
It's ruined people's expectations where they're like, yeah, what's the post-credit scene? As if that's what makes a movie good. It's like, there's no post-credit scene?
How's this going to connect with the next movie? What?
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you, Alex Franco, again for the very generous super chat. And Madman's Knowledge here with another super chat. I want Max Rebo to continually show up in places that explode and somehow survive each time to get another gig. Yes, we've decided he is indestructible.
Boneless.
I fully, that's my headcanon. Yeah.
You heard it.
No bones, first. Rebo.
Boneless, but not spineless. He's got a heart of gold.
No.
All right, now I want the Rebo standalone series.
That's the if you gave me that at the end, I'll take that post-credit scene. I retract all my other comments.
This is the start of a Robot Chicken sketch, I feel like. I mean, they already did the sail barge, like, oh man, I gotta get to the gig, but boneless but not spineless is my favorite catchphrase. Miranda here, thanks for the super chat, says happy Wednesday. Luke and Grogu could have been a flashback in season 301 of Mando, but it's possible they still could have meaning for Boba's show next week. Grogu's choice parallels Boba's and the Freetowners, maybe. That's I'm holding out all my judgment until the season is over, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I think if there's one thing that's been proven through all of this, through both seasons of Mando, is that, the criticisms of some of the other material about, overarching plan and stuff like that. I think that's not the issue here. We don't have like hindsight's going to be 2020 next Wednesday when everybody comes back together to talk the finale. But I've never gotten the sense that they just are freewheeling with where they're going with stuff.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of how they could have titled this better, just because the Book of Boba Fett like sets up these expectations that, Boba Fett would be in the episode. But I'm like, what if from the start it wasn't the Mandalorian? It was called the Age of the New Republic or something. And basically it was a Clone Wars style show where it's like, look, we just did 8 episodes about this character, the Mandalorian, and now we did 4 about Boba Fett, and now we're doing the Mandalorian again, and here's some about Ahsoka. And I don't know how to handle this, but that's kind of what it feels like they're doing.
Like a Tales of the Bounty Hunter. Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
I'm looking ahead, and I see Miranda here has a couple other super chats, so I'll go ahead and read those. One is Crosshair stole all of Bane's toothpicks. We already have a new toothpick guy in Star Wars.
I said when Cad Bane showed up in the Bad Batch, I was like, he needs to meet Crosshair, and they're just both like flicking toothpicks at each other the whole time.
And also, might they do Ahsoka before Mando season 3? Hence, why they needed this crossover stuff here, or is it just Star Wars MCU?
Well, Mando season 3 is filming right now, and Ahsoka either hasn't begun or is about to begin. So Mando season 3 should be next.
Yeah. And then there was one more in here that I just lost. Where did it go? Oh, could we get the Clone Wars Cad Bane versus Boba scenes in live action flashback next week to parallel a rematch in present day? Yeah, we didn't talk about that potential.
I hope so.
I mean, I think we're going to get a shootout between Cad Bane and Boba Fett. I don't necessarily think they're going to flash back to the other one. I think we're just supposed to be, those of us that know that it happened are just supposed to know. I think it would be a lot to flashback and show like, oh, by the way, Boba Fett and Cad Bane have all this history. And we're trying our best to fill you in on that, but I think that would be a little much.
When and that whole shootout that's referenced, if I'm thinking of the right one, you know, the end result was like, oh, now we know how Fett's helmet got dented.
Mhm.
You know, beyond that, I don't think you need a flashback to show to establish that they have deep beef. I think his kind of disgusted, Greedo pointed out that line that he gives about Boba Fett's just a stone cold killer that worked for the Empire. You get the history there.
Right.
I think we'll get a little bit more of that, but I don't know that we're going to get a flashback.
It's really interesting that I wonder if that was supposed to be Cad Bane's death in the Clone Wars. And then, you know, we didn't get to see it. And now they put it, like they put the shootout in the Bad Batch. And now there's a shootout in the Book of Boba Fett. And we're probably going to get another one between Boba Fett and Cad Bane. So I'm kind of wondering if Cad Bane's going to die next week.
I don't. At this rate, though, I feel like Boba Fett isn't fast enough to catch Cad Bane in a one-on-one shootout.
I mean, they tied earlier. It was basically a draw back in the Clone Wars. So
it'll be Mando Cad Bane. Mando Cad Bane.
Yeah,
that's right.
Could
figure out how to wield the Darksaber.
Boba Fett's finally going to get to do something, and Mando's going to shove him out of the way and shoot Cad Bane. This is my show.
No, he'll put himself in between them and get shot like he always does.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That is Mando's MO. Like, I just walk in, I get shot a bunch, I can survive that.
Yes.
Haunted Autumn sent in the next 3 super chats. Thank you. On the subject of the structure, I view it as a live action version of the Clone Wars. Hey, we got a 4-episode mini arc of character building for Boba. Now we have the larger Filoni-verse arc taking over. Great observation, Autumn. I wish I had read that 2 minutes ago. I think that's really smart. Luke's voice seemed a bit off or disembodied to me, not complaining, just acknowledging the state of the art. I loved it in the moment. This was true Star Wars pushing tech like no one else. It made me so hopeful and excited for the future, amazing in the moment, and can always be updated as the tech progresses.
I love that point. That's a great point that kind of captures Luke's essence, or George's essence of filmmaking. So that's a really good observation.
It's always cool. Star Wars has become kind of this place where they are always trying to push the envelope and do new things in filmmaking.
Yeah.
I really like what Pablo Hidalgo said about shooting Rogue One and how they built kind of that virtual set to shoot the dogfights and how that was something new. And obviously the stagecraft at ILM,
right,
and all of their deep fake stuff. They're doing a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah.
I will say, I think the folks that are out there that have had issues with the balance or the lack of Boba Fett in the last couple episodes, I think that's absolutely valid. I think it's a valid complaint, or it's a valid issue for folks to have, to say, whether you're a Boba Fett fan or not, to say this is not really the show that I was walking in expecting. Love this other stuff, but wish it could have been handled differently. I had a friend that was like, this material for these last 2 episodes would have been great for like a 90-minute special on ABC or something like that. Just bring in new audience, like hype people up, and then have it focused on Book of Boba Fett. So while I don't have a problem with it, I think it's a valid point of criticism there.
Yeah. I agree. Like I'm over, I guess, my criticisms of it because I had so much fun watching it today. I was definitely like, this is just such a weird thing to put into the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
But I loved it.
Yeah. It felt like maybe the last episode was a warm-up for that, and then they're like, all right, no one's going to complain if we put Luke and Grogu in this one, so let's just put them in.
Haunted Autumn had one more that just said, I loved Old Man R2. I'm tired. Need a droid nap. Shuts down.
Yeah.
Old man
R2 learned that from Yoda. Luke asks him a difficult question. He's like, "Oh, I gotta die real quick."
Twilight is upon me. Oh.
Yeah.
Forever sleep.
I love R2. He's a grumpy old man like Luke. Or like Luke is going to be one day. Jon Snow Rules has the next 3 super chats here. I swear at this rate we'll see Han Solo show up to revive Cobb Vanth and Omega riding Moochie. Comes out of nowhere. Elzar Mann then comes into play. Just get all the cameos.
Checking all the
there.
boxes.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're just wanting like all your favorites to appear, I'm getting a lot of that. I got Max Rebo, I got Cad Bane. Yeah,
It's all starting, man.
We should all
Like-
have bingo cards for chapter 7. We'll just play.
Yeah. People were predicting Cad Bane, and I was like, there's no way Cad Bane's going to be in it. And then, boom, Cad Bane. Anybody I said is not going to be in it is going to be in it. So,
All right, who's not going to be in it next week? Say Biggs.
A revived Biggs.
Bosk is not going to be in it.
That's a good one.
That's a bold one.
I like it.
I've heard a lot of
like-
people say that would make sense because they've covered the whole Wookiee Trandoshan not being super friendly.
They've got history.
Somehow Jabba has returned.
Oh no. Jon Snow Rules again here. Is Rebels more of a kids show than Clone Wars? I think they're both kid-ish shows with like a lot of more adult stuff like later on in the later seasons, but every season has some pretty childish episodes, I would say.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. You watch a Jar Jar episode from season 1 and tell me that's not a kid's show. And then you got like Fight or Flight and Star Wars Rebels, and yeah, that's a kid's show. But both of them age up with the audience.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Kid show with a little war crime sprinkled in here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also they asked, is that the temple from The Last Jedi or a different one? I think it's supposed to be the same one. That's my guess.
I'm assuming so for now.
Yeah.
Chris Bassetto got the next two super chats. Thank you. An amazing episode of the Book of Star Wars. I like that. Where did Luke get Yoda's lightsaber? Wasn't it destroyed? Also, Boba doesn't even speak a word in this episode. Ooh, I do have something I want to say about that. And was that Figrin Dan or a different Bith? I think Max is fine. They made a point to show those other band members so we don't riot. I do like the idea that like they knew we can't kill Max Rebo. They'll freak out. This random Bith is fine. I'm a little upset about the little drummer droid. I really liked him, but don't put Max in this scene. As for Boba not speaking, I remember recently Tamura Morrison talked about how he wanted Boba to speak less and he wanted Finnick to have more lines. So I kind of get the sense that maybe all of those lines were Boba's, and he was like, can I just stand there quietly like Boba Fett does and let Finnick say all this?
Yeah. He's a man of few words as far as the original trilogy goes. So I think it wasn't totally, I mean, it was kind of weird to have a Book of Boba Fett episode where Boba Fett doesn't have any lines, but it did kind of bring me back to his original trilogy self that just kind of like stood there and was like, I'm Boba Fett.
Yeah.
I don't need lines.
You said Dan Murrell, also from the Schmodown, tweeted something about like, I mean, what's more Boba Fett than him getting 2 minutes of screen time and not saying a word?
Classic Boba Fett.
Fair.
He's the daimyo. He doesn't have to talk. Other people.
Conveys
the
power.
military.
Sitting in the corner, having someone talk for you, nodding your head. It's
Maldalorian 47 has the next 2 super chats. Thank you. Never forget the rule of Beskar. If you're wielding Beskar, you will get shot in the Beskar. I predict Grogu, if he chooses the armor, will have a fake out moment of getting shot.
I mean, yeah, that's the mithril vest all over again.
Yeah.
He's gonna get stabbed, and everyone will go, "Oh no!" And then I'll be like, "Oh, there's more to this little green man than meets the eye."
Right.
He's gonna jump in front of Din and save him.
That's a little force powered jump.
Yeah.
He just did. He didn't try.
Oh.
Real quick, Greedo, how are you doing on time? You need to.
Yeah, I
Get out
got to
of here.
take off.
Okay.
But I appreciate you guys letting me hang out a little bit. It was nice to meet you, Thomas.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna check out the podcast for
Yeah.
sure. That sounds
Yeah.
really interesting. But
Yeah. We'll
thanks
talk.
thanks for letting me hop on here for a little bit and talk a little Boba Fett.
Thanks so much for joining us. I know you're really busy. Everyone, make sure you check out the links in the description to HelloGreedo's channel and Twitter. Check out his book, Sorry About the Mess, and have a great rest of your night.
Yeah, you too, man. All right, take it easy, guys.
Take
See ya.
care.
See ya.
See ya.
It's just us now.
And then Mandalorian had another one here. Seeing as how he got kicked out of the covert and Bo-Katan kicked him off the light cruiser, do you think Den will use Boba's palace as a base of operations?
Do we know that Bo-Katan kicked him off the cruiser?
I think he left, right? He was like, I can't
Yeah, he
stay
wanted
here.
part of that.
Din just might be out and about.
I
He's-
can't be
he's
going to
got a-
retake Mandalore right now.
I'm taking the dark saber and I'm going.
Yeah.
Maybe
He's got his new hot rod. He wants
kept-
to take that
he
thing
kept
out.
waking up in the middle of the night and Bo-Katan was just standing over him, staring at the dark saber. he felt uncomfortable, so he left.
Yeah. Yeah. I was a little bummed that he didn't keep Gideon's or Quentin's cruiser, but you know, what are you gonna do? What would have been cooler than seeing him cruising around the galaxy in that and like parking the N1 in the hangar bay?
Well, I kind of think that's what might happen in season 3.
Yeah.
Like he's got his ship, he's got the thing he'll take out on his own missions, but his home base can still be the Arquidens.
Yeah.
Which I guess is in Bo-Katan's control, but yeah, I definitely want to see more
can
Bo-Katan.
Yeah. She's getting herself a little armada there.
Jane Dalton has the next 2. Thank you so much. Do y'all think there will be multiple seasons of the Book of Boba Fett with how this is wrapping up? And do you think the Emperor had Yoda's lightsaber in one of his warehouses that Luke was looking for, or did Yoda have it and give it to Luke? For the lightsaber, I kind of assumed Luke just took it from the hut.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that I that's the kind of story that feels primed for like an updated if it's a retcon or something like that, either a story outside of off screen or just they leave it unexplained and you just don't know. And I'm fine with that. That I think there's a fine line that happens between needing a story about everything and leaving some stuff to mystery. And this is one of those that I'm fine to leave, scratching my head and making up my own theories.
Yeah.
Do you think there will be multiple seasons?
At first, like when this whole thing first started, I was like, I kind of want this to be a one-off, but with how quickly they're supposed to be wrapping up Boba's story and like how much of a different turn his story took in this show, I kind of want more. I wouldn't mind in its second season.
Just with the crew gear that we've seen pictures of, it said Buccaneer Season 1, and Buccaneer was its code word. So usually if it says Season 1, that means that they're at least going to leave it open for a Season 2. Like Obi-Wan Kenobi is a special event series.
Yeah.
It doesn't say Season 1. It's just Obi-Wan Kenobi, stunt crew. So I'm kind of going to assume that there will be multiple seasons of this.
Yeah, I hope so. It's I really like the idea beyond, because the Din's story has taken a certain arc and I think it's put him on a certain track. But where it started and where we've seen a little bit of, which is the Star Wars underworld, I think is an area that's just ripe for storytelling. So if this season ends and he's just cleaned up his rule on Tatooine and we get a setup for maybe a bigger bad, somebody like Akira or something like that, I'm all for it. That said, I don't know. I'm a Boba Fett fan. I've got stuff littering my room here, but if they make it a satisfying ending, if the knot is tied on it, I'm not gonna be upset if we move on to new stories and different characters.
Yeah.
Well said. Ice has the next 2 super chats here. Careful what you wish for, Alex. Things took a turn.
Yep.
That's on you.
It is. That's
And-
I didn't know I was holding a monkey's paw when I wished for Cad Bane.
Yes.
It cost me everything.
They say, this episode blew me away. I'm still processing because, wow, I'm genuinely yelling at my TV so much in this one. Dave is getting better and better.
Me too.
I completely agree about Dave and his directing, specifically in the showdown scene, because just everything in my brain was screaming at me that, like, Cobb Vanth is in serious danger. He's going to lose this duel. It's the only thing that makes story sense. And even though everything went exactly the way I thought it would, my heart was pounding. I can't remember the last time I was this stressed out. It was very effective.
Yeah. He had like just weighty moments from start to finish. There was not. I was like you. My pulse didn't like calm down to like a healthy rate at any point.
Yeah, I think like a lot of people online are talking about Dave Filoni's live action directing and whether or not it's good. I mean, I'm not a director, so I don't know what is really good or not. But he's still kind of new to live action directing, but I think he's starting to get the hang of it, and he's got a lot of great directors by his side to help him out. And I think he's getting better.
The way I see it, if an episode made me feel something, then good job, good direction. I felt a lot of things this episode. So
yeah, and he's not doing it all. It's not like Lucas in the prequels, right? Just helming everything. There's a healthy rotation of talent. I think they've got some work to do on that front, but I think between Mando and Book of Boba, it's shown that it can pay off in spades. And I like that he comes in and it like has significance when he takes the director's chair. And I think if you look at the episodes, the stuff that Filoni has done, even going back to like Clone Wars 08, it's progressed every single time. So you're seeing this progression. It's just not that he's not persistently in the chair where we see a more rapid evolution. So it's not Spielberg. He's not out trying to get an Oscar. This just needs to be, as Alex, you said, just like good Star Wars that makes you feel something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And this is what, his 4th live action episode, 4th or 5th? Mm-hmm. Like he's still learning by his own admission. Like this is part of a program for him to get better and better at live action directing. And I've got no complaints.
Yeah.
Doing great, Dave.
Bones McCoy's got 3 super chats here. Anyone else see the piece of debris in the water next to R2 and think it was Luke's starfighter? Like he always parks in the water after he crashed it. You're like, I meant to do that on Dagobah. This is where I park. No, I did not notice that.
No, I didn't either. That would be funny though if he's like, I feel like it's only safe if it's underwater.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, those X-wings, you can't trust them to do much of anything.
Yeah. A Y-wing, you can dive it head first into water. It'll be fine.
Just crash it straight into the ground and it's okay.
Really want to see that first Luke Snips meeting. Ahsoka teaching Luke about the Clone Wars, his father, and kicking off Luke's disdain for the old Jedi way. Very much agree. Yeah. I want to see a lot more interaction between them. And has Boba been a good shot on screen? More stick gadgets ship combat, right?
I'd
love him losing the shootout to Cad Bane, but win the combat with win the combat with the Gaffy and Haka. I like that more, Bones. I like that more.
He is going to abandon his armor and fight with that Gaffy stick. He has to.
Well, I like the idea that, because I mean, I've kind of been talking, okay, all right, we're thinking here. Grogu has been offered the choice of Mandalorian or Jedi. And we've both been talking about, well, is he going to hang up the armor? Is he going to choose the Tusken way instead of the Mandalorian way? But does he have to choose, or can he meld the two? And see, with 2 weeks without Boba Fett, like all this stuff has left my mind. But yeah, when he reached for his Mandalorian gadgets, when Chrysanthemum was attacking, they failed him. But he got the gaffy stick, it protected him. I really like the idea that Cad Bane outshoots him, but he wins with the gaffy stick, because he's been kind of setting that stuff aside, and the Tusken stuff obviously meant so much to him. I think that's a great observation, Bones. I like that a lot.
Yeah. I forget, he had, I don't remember the exact line, but he effectively said that he was ready to just live that life until the massacre happened. I mean, he was there. We don't know exactly how long, but it was years, as he put it. So, somewhere between 2 and 4 to 5 years that he was out there with them. So there's some deep roots there. I also don't think we've seen the last of the Tuskens. We'll see how many people kind of muster from Freetown, but I think some other kind of foot soldiers are going to come into play.
I mean, the people of Freetown fought side by side with Tuskens as well, so
exactly
they could bring some allies, especially if they hear about this Boba Fett fellow who lived with another tribe for years. But yeah, like, I love that idea, because not only does it play into the themes that Molly and I have been talking about for the past few weeks with Boba Fett, and it's like, it seems like he's regressing and going back to the bounty hunting way. But yeah, it also fits with Grogu and this choice that might not be necessary. That's very good. Also, just because I've seen a couple people ask if I'm drinking the Mountain Dew beer, I'm not.
The look on the can, it looks like
it's a Scofflaw Double Jeopardy. It's a Georgia brew, and I like it a lot. But it's not Mountain Dew Baja Blasted. Is that what they called it? Baja Blasted.
I wish it was. Yeah. I'd be drinking one of those.
The book report sponsored by
Baja
Blast.
Of all the sponsors we could get, that's number one on my list.
Hit us up, Mountain Dew.
Zach Stash has 2 super chats. Next up, so glad I'm finally able to catch one of these live. Just so you know, I actually lolled at the "not like this" joke in today's review, Alex. That was a good touch. And was it just me, or did Luke's training seem a bit aggressive for dealing with a toddler?
Yeah,
I mean, he's 50. Like, there's moments where he's very toddler-like, and then there's moments where he seems wiser than he, should be. So
there were moments where, like, when he first jumps and he says, "Is that all you got?" Stuff like that I think the delivery should have been a little more lighter. Like, "Oh, come on, is that all you got? Like, you can do better than that." But it came off,
buddy.
It came off kind of like, "Is that it?" Like, disappointed. And I think that comes down to the technology they're using. And I'm assuming it is still a completely fabricated voice. And yeah, I'm just choosing to believe that Luke said that more softly than it came across.
You ever dealt with a toddler? It's like they're real jerks sometimes. I tell my daughter to jump, and she tells me where to shove it. And then you get to the end of your rope really quickly.
We've got friends with a 5-year-old, or a 4-year-old, about to be a 5-year-old, and they recently told him that they would beat him up. He was like, "Daddy, you can't talk to me that way. I'm going to beat you up."
I'm going to beat you up.
So, fair.
And they will too, like, no compunction. So,
and I'm sure, like, if he punched him, then our friend would just be like, "Is that all you got?"
Don't try.
Yeah. Shove him down. Get back up. Always get back up. A lot of hard lessons at Luke Skywalker's Academy.
Like, when Luke smacks Rey with that giant blade of grass, he's got kind of a mean streak, I think.
Yeah.
That's okay.
But she's 19.
Yeah.
Deidre Russell with the next 2 super chats. Thank you. What did Cad Bane gain by just winging Cobb Vanth? Why did he make that choice while killing the deputy? Also, yes, that is a smidge too small. And if Grogu chooses the male shirt, will he finally get pants? I assume he just wears the male shirt underneath his normal burlap sack.
You don't think he's gonna Pooh Bear? Just do the shirt and no pants?
I hope not.
I've seen this one back here without the little cover on, and it's disturbing to look at. So I prefer he keep his little sack on.
Yeah. I think that's his costume, and we're gonna stick with it for a while.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
As for winging Cobb Vanth, I don't necessarily think he was trying to. I mean, maybe. I mean, I would believe that Cad Bane is a good enough shot that he's like, I'm just gonna wound him. But he had to deal with 2 assailants, so I figure he shot Cobb Vanth first, downed him, then really shot the deputy, and Cobb Vanth was unconscious. Like, I don't know that Cad Bane is the person to just like go up and double tap someone. That's a little much for Star Wars. So
Yeah.
I kind of figure he's like, all right, Cobb Vanth is down for the count. I've made my point, and I'll leave.
The clones didn't hesitate to do it on those, on at least.
Yeah, that's true. They did do that.
But no, there's a plot point behind it. I'm sure that they're not going to kill Cobb. He's going to have a role to play. I think story wise, it makes sense that he lives so that he's learned this important. Like he knows he's going to recover somehow, but he'll be wounded. He's still the leader of Freetown, and now he's learned an important lesson, and he'll fall in line. At least maybe that's how Cad sees it. He also might. I don't know how closely he was tracking his shot. So whether he spent the time before he turned to hit the deputy to say like, "Oh, that was a hip hit instead of a chest hit." I don't know.
I could see it going either way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Dragonus Prime has the next 2 super chats. It's you, dude. This episode having so much Mando content has pretty much convinced me that there isn't a 1-season show. There's too much to wrap up. And also to give Arbington a super chat bump. Yoda's saber isn't a continuity flub. Turns out we already saw he rebuilt it in Age of Rebellion.
That's what I saw people talking about that. I read that it appeared in Wikipedia, and I reread that comic. I've got it back there because Biggs is on the cover. And I could not find his lightsaber. So I don't know. It must be in there somewhere because people are insistent on it, but I couldn't find where it was.
I don't know. You're the guy to ask.
I looked. I couldn't find it. I believe people. I just don't know where it is. But it's probably a 2-season show. Our friend Ken Plume has the next 2 super chats. First says the toothpick is in his other hat, his bigger hat.
His bigger hat.
Yeah. And Ahsoka says, "Hey Luke, I knew your father. Can I crash on your couch?" Oh, and he also owed me some credits. Are you good for that?
Can I offer you these bamboo pieces?
Yeah.
Luke's like, oh, the new Jedi don't believe in credits.
Yeah.
Thanks for stopping by, Ken. Haunted Autumn with some more
real
super
quick.
chats.
I just wanted to check in. Thomas, how are you doing? It's been 2 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Still got quite a few super
Yeah.
chats to get through, but we will get through them. We're kind of grouping them. So anyone who has like multiples, we're going to try to read those together. So Haunted Autumn has the next 2 here. Yet another example of how Filoni/Favreau's Star Wars is so much more than fan service. It's really hitting on all the what is that word?
Archetypal.
Archetypal elements that made Star Wars a cultural phenomenon.
It's a great
and
point.
Also, yeah, it is. They said, lost my father at the end of the year. Din's love for Grogu really hit me. seeing Luke at episode's end across from Grogu, caring so much about giving him a say in his own future. Oh,
yeah. Sorry to hear that, Haunted Autumn, but
yeah.
I really like what you said about Filoni and Favreau and doing more than just fan service, and something that I have to remind myself when I feel like the Star Wars universe can feel a little small at times, but remembering that, this is a mythology and it's not meant to be like this perfect, accurate galactic history. And that, yeah, you know what? Din runs into Ahsoka because that's what that character needs for his story at this point. And Ahsoka is that archetype. Like, that makes it feel a lot better. And I'm just like, it's not a small galaxy problem. It's just that I'm looking at Star Wars the wrong way. And, I get, Thomas, you probably feel this too, being so wrapped up in the trivia side of things, where it's like we deal with these facts that are trivial. They're not that important. And sometimes it can skew how you view what the storytellers are actually saying.
Yeah. Well, and I think it also sets up these sort of artificial conflicts, like the Yoda's lightsaber thing. And Star Wars exists in this weird plane where there's maybe, unlike Marvel and some of these others that kind of play fast and loose, sometimes there's not necessarily this like airtight continuity that is what they're striving for. But here you've got, I look over here and I've got like rows of reference books and stuff. It's like a fictional history that's being built. These books aren't looked at as like fun little factoids by a lot of folks. It's like the living, breathing history of the films and an extension of what you see on screen. And it's a tough balance and I think Lucas always kind of addressed this really well with the old Legends material, where he's sort of like, on screen is what matters and everything else is just sort of putty to play with. And I generally think they get it right, but the existence of all that material of these great novels and comics sets us up to look at it through a certain lens.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All of the history stuff, all of the the complete canon timeline that I do every year, like that's stuff that, I try to force it kind of into this box sometimes that they don't really care about. The storytellers aren't so concerned with making a perfect history, and then like all us nerds are trying to.
Well, like this, we've talked about the story group and what their purpose is in Star Wars storytelling, and it's like, yeah, part of their job is to see where they can make other things connect, and like if a new director comes along and wants to put something in a story, but there's an existing character like Cobb Vanth who could fit really well in the story, they're like, hey, you could do this instead. And sometimes they're like, oh yeah, cool, perfect. And sometimes they're like, no, I want to create this new character. So it's just a balance.
Yeah.
I saw that Haskell 420 said that they sent in some Streamlabs, so I popped over there and I'll read them real quick. Hi, Alex, Molly, and the Major. Just got here. Apologies. I wonder if we'll see Luke bring Grogu to Tatooine, see the battle, get involved, help kill some and beat the Pikes, building on his own growing legend. Maybe even see Boba or Din showdown with Cad and Grogu, stopping Cad's shot like Kylo stopping Poe's shot in The Force Awakens, allowing Boba or Din to win the gunfight, and CA's thought dead and Cad is thought dead and gets away unnoticed. I hope we see that warrior Tusken who taught Boba come back and join the battle. I think they're dead. If we don't see Grogu making his decision in episode 7, it sucks we got to wait so long to see what happens. Though seeing Din's in one had the droid seat taken out and a small seat put behind him, looks like Grogu is choosing to go with him. And I hope the finale is an hour.
I hope it's at least an hour.
I looked up earlier and the Hawkeye finale was an hour, so I think that's reasonable to expect.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I don't think Luke is going to or should get involved in the Tatooine fight.
No. He doesn't want to go back to Tatooine.
I think that's it. Yeah, he's tired
it's
of
the last place he wants to go to. Although if Grogu ended up there, someone put him on that Rancor. I want to see that dynamic duo charging down the streets of.
That's the character poster that I want.
I like that.
Oh, I love it. Was that the only Streamlab that we had on there? Okay. I'm going to make sure. Bill Rudd has the next super chat. Did Luke think he was helping Grogu remember a homeworld full of Yoda beings? The traumatic flashback theme of this show continues. That was my, I had that thought, split second. I was like, wait, is he going to help him? Is he supposed to be, helping him remember his family? And I was just picturing we were just going to get this E.T. with his family moment, and I wasn't ready for that. So I'm glad it wasn't that. I don't know.
He did call it home, so that was a little ambiguous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was almost like I expected Luke to be like, "Oh, whoops, I didn't mean to access that memory." But he just calmly plays it off. He's just like, "Welcome back."
Yeah.
Thanks, a-hole.
Yeah. Just send him down this PTSD moment.
Real helpful.
Exactly what I needed to think about.
You were the worst therapist.
Tell me to jump around and try and get back up, and now I gotta think about that again.
Although that reminds me of the thing we talked about earlier about the lightsabers, because I was like, why did they even have Luke training with his lightsaber? What was the point of that scene being in there? And Alex pointed out that last time Grogu saw lightsabers for the most part was Order 66, so that was very traumatic for him. And then him getting to see Luke and training with him, and then seeing how Luke was using the lightsaber, it was kind of a shift for Grogu, and he was kind of able to look at it with wonder and awe instead of
they
fear.
shot it in kind of the same way, where we saw Order 66 as a reflection of Grogu's eyes. You saw the lightsabers flashing in his eyeballs, and then when he saw Luke training, we also saw his lightsaber reflected in Grogu's eyes. So I figured that was just him being okay, it's safe now. Lightsabers aren't a sign of danger all the time. It's just what I remembered them as, and it's a shift in his thinking. I think that's my guess.
They're cool again.
But also, if you're gonna have Luke in there, have him ignite the green.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's like, I know what you're all really here for. Mr. J86, thanks for the super chat. Do you think they should have had one show which jumped perspectives like the Clone Wars rather than having a full-on Luke episode in the Boba show? Yeah, we pretty much talked about that a couple times, but yeah, I think that would have been an interesting idea if they had just titled this, Tales of the Bounty Hunters or Tales of the New Republic or something.
I don't know. Would have been interesting if that was the case. Next one's from You No Longer Get to Tease Me About This, aka Floof knows Star Wars Explained won't play Lego Star Wars 3. I always love reading their full username. Cad, quotations, no one cared who I was till I put the hat on. In quotations, Bane. Yeah.
Real quick, because I see Haskell sent in a super chat now. Thank you, Haskell. We literally just read your super chats or your Streamlabs. If you go back 5 or 6 minutes, it's in there. But we did just get to them.
Yeah, we don't normally check that, but we should.
The one who cannot smell, thank you for the super chat, says, do you think the Pikes hired more bounty hunters than just Cad Bane? Wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, we got HelloGreedo's badge of approval for Bosk showing up.
Bosk is going to be
definitely not coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense story-wise. That would have some meaning to it instead of just being a rando. I would love, it wouldn't work. It'd be a little bit crowded, but if a really snarky Dengar showed up just to goof off and try to kill some people.
You're the first person I've heard bring up Dengar. Like we were with Zach Burkett and Gold Leader last night. And we were like, who do you want to show up? And they were naming like every bounty hunter. And I was like, no one says Dengar. No one cares about Dengar.
Dengar, what if he has like a resurgence where it's kind of like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man? He comes in and he's like, bounty hunter number 3, like,
and everyone's like, I like Dengar now.
Yeah, Dengar's the best. Dengar spinoff. I don't know.
I'm kind of thinking it'll just be Cad Bane at this point. I think that's enough, but I will happily accept more.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking balance here. So you've got Black Chrysanthemum, who's probably just going to be a lot of muscle in the fight, and then Din and Boba. They could stand to have one more on their side. So I don't know.
I mean,
but Cad Bane's not cheap.
Yeah, and if Chrysanthemum needs someone to fight, Bosk would be a fun.
Oh man,
adversary.
It'd be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Charge up those knuckle dusters.
Yes. I need to see Santi. Is that his nickname, Santi? I need to see him fight again.
Yeah.
Fight and then run off into the desert again. That was funny. Lindsay Brown, thanks for your super chat. After this episode, I can see why Kylo thought Luke was trying to kill him. Who lets a remote shoot at a baby? Oh, yeah. I had a violent reaction to that training remote shooting Grogu. I was like, how dare you?
He like flew back too. He had like the intensity turned up on the blast.
Luke, like real quick, just turns it down a lot. Like, oh god, that was.
Oh, this was on a 9. Oh, jeez,
my bad.
Insta kill mode activated. No.
He was secretly testing how durable Grogu is.
He was taking out some of anger against Yoda. He's like, he had some resentment back when he made him eat root leaf stew. He's like, I'm just gonna shoot this at you once, really hard. Maddie C, thanks for the super chat. I hope the lack of Boba Fett in the past 2 episodes will be redeemed in the finale by showing Boba riding his Rancor and laying waste to the Pikes. I think that's a safe bet. He better ride that Rancor.
Yeah, it's coming.
Animated Sky, thanks for your super chat. Any chance you think we'll get to see Ahsoka and Luke talk about Anakin/Vader? Be it on screen, book/comic. I want to see Ahsoka's reaction to him coming back. Yeah, we've talked about the possibility of there being an Ahsoka story in the certain point of view book for Return of the Jedi. I think that would be really, really cool if we got that. And obviously, I would like to see it on screen too. Just the 3 of them having a chat.
I definitely don't think we're done seeing them together.
No,
it'll happen again.
Yeah. And they had too many. There's just too many like poignant lines in here, and it's clear that they've got a bond there. I think the foundation is set for them to explore that a little more.
LaWolfie, thanks for the super chat. I was so happy to see Cobb Vanth back, and all I could think of was how happy Alex would be. Then I saw Cad Bane. I was like, oh no, poor Alex. Yep, that's accurate.
When I woke up in the middle of the night at 3, partially it was because Alex's phone was just blowing up. People texting him like as soon as they were watching the episode. Like, it
was one person. It was Mark from the Templin Institute.
Mark.
And he's always got to say something.
I'm going to start making you put your phone on Do Not Disturb at night.
Probably should.
CNC, thanks for your super chat. So I guess the Boba Fett, quote, learning to ride a Rancor montage will come in the finale. I needs to see it. Yeah. He will just have already learned and done the training, but I do hope we see Danny Trejo again.
I do too.
Oh yeah. I need a full flashback sequence montage.
Yeah. We need his seal of approval. Like, you're ready.
Yeah. That's probably all we're going to get is be like, well, you put in the time and discipline. Congratulations.
You did
We'll
it.
be like, when? Okay, whatever. James Waterman, thank you for the super chat. Cad Bane shot the sheriff, but he also shot the deputy. He really shot the deputy. Cad Bane is not Bob Marley confirmed. Love the stream. Think Cobb's for sure alive. Maybe Din will get his own armor in the future. Get him and his own armor in the future. That'd be nice. Like, it seems like you need this.
Maybe they put him in Boba's back to tank.
Oh yeah, there you go. And then he's gonna have a whole episode of flashbacks.
Yeah.
And then he'll wake up and he'll be like, what I miss? And they'll be like, everything's fine. We beat the Pikes and I rode a Rancor. And we're not going to see any of it.
That's all of season 2. It's just Cobb getting healed.
Hey, I'll take a book of Cobb Vanth. I'll take anything.
I know you want to see Cobb Vanth in those little undies that you have to wear in the back of the tank.
Finally. He just uses his bandana.
It's Disney Plus Plus.
Yeah, back to Disney Plus Plus. The stereotypical stereotype show. Thank you for your super chat. Someone should do a parody of Cad Bane walking up from the distance, but when he gets there, it's Jar Jar Binks. Sorry, not sorry. You guys rule. Stay cool. Like takes off a mask.
I'm trying to think of how that, like, even with the hat down, you don't see any of the face until you hear his voice. So use a Cobb Vanth. Like, oh no.
This planet belonged to the syndicates. Misa
Tinks.
John Booze, thanks for the super chat. If all the Star Wars bounty hunters were playing Squid Game, who would be the last one standing? Well, Boba Fett has too much honor now. So I don't think he'd be ruthless enough to survive Squid Game. I mean, Cad Bane seems like he'd fare well.
Yeah. I think about the box arc in the Clone Wars, and he was pretty ruthless there. That was kind of like Star Wars Squid Game in a way.
You're right.
Someone needs to do that mashup. Play that music, the Squid Game music over it.
That's a good idea. Jamie Rochin, thanks for the super chat, says they wanted to please Alex in the beginning of the episode with Cobb. And they did.
They really did. And Harrison Alexander with the next one here. What flashbacks would Grogu see in the Bacta tank? Oh, hopefully better ones. You know, not.
I don't know. I mean, like that's how Boba Fett was kind of processing his trauma, so he'd probably still see like Order 66 and whatever happened to him afterwards.
No, it's gonna be those eggs that he wants.
Just still eggs.
It's like little frogs hopping around and happy.
The blue butterflies.
Yeah, the Jedi Temple cafeteria, like before it was all wrecked and destroyed.
The chicken nuggets that they sold there.
Pizza day.
A lot of good memories, probably.
E-Train, thank you for the super chat. They can definitely wrap up a war in one episode. Game of Thrones has done it several times. Yeah, I'm pretty confident they're going to wrap up the Pike storyline in one episode. I think that's doable. Just needs to be a longish episode.
Yeah. Charlie Man 15. Thanks for your super chat. Hey, it's my faves, HelloGreedo and Star Wars Explain. Sorry, Thomas.
That's okay. That's all right.
I really believe Luke will play a bigger role in the finale. Maybe help Boba defend his homeworld against the Pikes. I don't know. Like we talked about this earlier. I don't know. I don't think Luke wants to go to Tatooine for any reason.
It would just feel too much like Mando season 2, I think, where it's just, oh no, things are falling apart, but Luke swoops in to save the day.
Yeah.
And like, I liked today's episode, but it is still, I feel like there's this danger of Star Wars leaning too much on the classic characters like a crutch, where people have been feeling iffy about the Book of Boba Fett for the first 4 episodes, and then Mando comes in and everyone's excited, and then Luke comes in and everyone's excited, and I'm excited too, but I'm like, you can't do this every series. Like, I'm ready for the Acolyte. where it's just
Yeah.
new things, new people. If Luke somehow finds his way in there, if he's like, I came in from the world between worlds, I'll be like, I'll lose my mind.
Yes, but no.
Yeah.
Thurl Unfiction, thanks for the super chat. A+ episode 6, Boba went from 46 to 42 on Rotten Tomatoes, RT. Oliphant survival, yes. Grogu will take a whiteboard, confusing Luke there. I think that's a Schmodown joke. Oh, and I'm sorry, they said N1's rule, Y-Wing suck.
You know, send my own super chat in that
That's what Timplin
lays
did
out my
last
manifesto.
Batman is my dad. Thanks for your super chat. Am I the only one who thinks it's weird that Luke is telling Grogu to abandon his attachment to his father when that's what helped him redeem Vader?
No, I mean, I think it's just Luke trying to rebuild the Jedi Order as it was instead of make it his own, which, you know, there's another theme that the Mandalorian is exploring, that there's no one right way to be a Mandalorian. There's not necessarily one right way to be a Jedi, but, you know, Luke just doesn't have anyone to tell him that or help him out.
Yeah. He almost, I think Luke probably realizes he almost fell to the dark side himself in that path. It wasn't like a clean and easy thing. So that his reflection at this point in life might be just how close he tap danced to the cliff.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great point, is that it worked out, but it was close.
Yeah, one last like saber strike, and
yeah,
a very different Luke.
Yeah. So I think he is just erring on the side of caution. And that's always the struggle of the Jedi. I mean, the High Republic is dealing with that so well. They are saying some of my favorite things about what it means to be a Jedi and to love and care for people without getting attached and becoming, you know, possessive and controlling of them. That's always the danger. So, yeah, I think that Luke is just struggling because he's mostly on his own.
Yeah.
The Commie Killer. Oh, I'm sorry that Greedo's already gone. It says, yo, what up, Greedo? I think the real question here is that for everyone, is Max Rebo safe? Is he all right? I really love that Luke was Yoda's last student and Grogu is Luke's first. Oh, that is nice. And also, it's my 21st birthday. Happy birthday.
Hey, happy birthday.
That's a good point. That, yeah, Luke was Yoda's last student and now Grogu is Luke's first. That is nice.
It's like poetry.
And yes,
rhymes.
I think Max Rebo is fine.
You see, now that he's 21, don't make the Mountain Dew alcoholic drink your first legal drink. I guess try something else.
Agreed.
Ease into it.
Johnny, thanks for the question, says, when did Luke find Jocasta Nu's cache? We do not know. That just kind of happened in the epilogue of one issue of the Darth Vader comic, and they never put a timestamp on that. I think it was before this, if I had to guess, but we do not know.
Let's see. Kevin Diaz has the next two super chats here. Joined late, don't know if it's been said, but I would 100% be okay with a Luke series after this episode. Give me a 5 or so episode miniseries, damn it. And also, so when are we getting the Book of Max Rebo?
We need a behind the music or something for him, like just a
like under the helmet, but like an in universe thing. I like that.
If they would do it like a mini 5 episodes of behind the music for the Max Rebo band, Figured Dan and the Modal Nodes, Shag Kava, like just get all of them and do little documentaries. That'd be fun.
My only point on the Luke series is, while it would be cool, every series that they make means something else. There's a story that's not told, so it occupies resources, time, that sort of thing. So what are we missing out on if we got a Luke series. And I think, Alex, you make a great point about, exploring a little bit more of the sandbox. There's a lot of great stories to be told out there, as great a character as Luke is.
Yeah. I mean, that's the Skywalkers are amazing, but they have been the bulk of Star Wars storytelling. And I just get so refreshed by things like the High Republic or even Fallen Order, which is like in the same era, but it's different characters. I like occasionally expanding Star Wars and focusing more and more on the Skywalkers. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure I would really like that series, but it's not my first choice.
Yeah.
But if they announce it at the end of the Book of Boba Fett, I'll be like, all right, hell yeah, let's go.
I'm in.
Yeah, what am I going to say? No.
I mean, they could do like a kind of like what they did with Forces of Destiny and show like little animated shorts of Luke training our cat.
Pippin is just yelling about something.
Yeah. Like I don't know that they would want to spend all the money to have CGI Luke in every episode as a main character. But yeah, I definitely think it's time to move on to other stories and characters.
Agreed.
Oh.
Andrew711 has the next two. Thank you. How do you think the Pikes knew to send Bane to Freetown, and why did the Pikes want Tatooine? Why is it so important? Well, I think the first scene of the episode tells us how the Pikes knew about Freetown, because Cobb Vanth rolled up, shot 3 people, and said, "This is Mos Pelgo territory, and I'm the marshal, and I tell people what to do around here.
Here's our GPS coordinates."
Yeah, so I think that's how they knew to go deal with Cobb Vanth. As for Tatooine, good question. I don't know why it's so important to the spice trade.
Why does everyone want to go back to Jakku or Tatooine or any sand planet?
It's familiar, and in universe it sits on I think an important trade route, right? There's a reason that Jabba set up his shop there. It's along a valuable route, so backwater town, but
yeah, that is true that like Jabba dealt in the spice trade as well. So I guess it's just people are used to it there.
What does Pippin have to say about it?
He's just rubbing, scratching his face.
So cute. Astromech Jeremy with another super chat here. Luke is going to learn so much from Grogu. Sometimes the student guides the teacher, and I think Grogu will teach Luke that the two creeds can work together. Yeah, I think they can learn a lot from each other.
Yeah.
I don't know how much more time they'll spend together if he chooses the chainmail and goes back to Den, but
yeah, I don't know if Luke is going to learn that lesson, because it kind of seems like he hasn't by the time of The Last Jedi and all that, but I don't know. I'm sure he's going to learn something from Grogu.
How to wear a burlap sack with style.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt like when he was telling Grogu about how Yoda spoke and how he spoke in riddles, he was like leading him on to be like, do you talk like that? Do they all talk like that?
I had the
like,
same thought.
What is going on there? Like,
I wanted to be like, did you know anyone that talked like that? He was messing with us, right?
Yeah.
No one else talks like that, which is true. In the High Republic, Yaddle talks normally.
Yeah.
So what's going on there?
Man, Yoda's just messing with everybody.
John C. Nelson, thanks for the super chat. So can we all agree Boba Fett is lame and Mando is saving the show? I mean, no. I was into the Boba Fett stuff. I really liked what they were saying with Boba Fett. I really like what is going on with the Mandalorian as well. But I was already into it, and I miss what they're saying about Boba Fett and with him. So, you know.
Boba's in this weird space. People forget that or maybe just it's easy to forget that we spent a lot of time with Din over the last 2 years. Like a lot of development, a lot of character arcs and whatnot. And so he's in a very different place. Boba is this weird character that has existed for like 40 years, But up until maybe the Clone Wars, you had only a couple minutes of screen time and a few lines. And the backstory that we do have from him is largely, outside of the comics, largely just him as a kid, a teenager, basically. And so the show is having to set up this intense conflict, but also build out this character that has all these expectations for him, but whose story has never been told. And that's a lot for any creator to take on. But I like look no further than the Tusken stuff. That's awesome. Like, who thought that suddenly the Tuskens would be, really sympathetic and people would be rooting for them, and that the Jawas would be the big evil, like no
Muggers.
good, filthy. Yeah. So
But they're also willing to help you out to get any car parts you need.
That's true.
Speeder parts, whatever.
Just don't ask where they came from, and they're a little furry.
Yeah. I had a thought and now it's left me. Oh yeah. So like you talking about Boba Fett being largely a kid, and a lot of the storytelling is that, yeah, there's just so many different versions of Boba Fett. And I really love that they are pulling from all of those versions, that it's like, yeah, you know what? He was a cold-blooded killer like he was in the comics. But also, we're having these flashbacks back to Geonosis and him as a kid and seeing his father die. And like, they're telling a complete story with everything that happened to him, and they're not sweeping anything under the rug. And I love that. Also, my AirPods just died, so if you say anything, I won't be able to hear it.
Mine were kind of going in and out too.
Now's the time to trash talk about Biggs without any consequence. He'll never know.
Yeah, he'll know. He'll go back and
he'll
watch.
Just feel it. He'll just feel it. What did he say for those 30 seconds?
Yeah.
You can lip read at this point when it involves.
Thomas, how are you doing? Do you need to?
Let's do one more, and then I'll duck out.
Okay.
The next one is from Brian Dillingham. Did Cad Bane kill Boba's Tusken tribe?
That's my theory. Not just my theory. I'm not going to lay claim to that, but
yeah. So you think the Pikes hired Cad Bane and sent him to kill the tribe? I could see that.
But that was, I did that video 2 weeks ago after chapter 4, because Finnick said something about how like, oh, a bunch of speed bikers killed Tuskens. That sounds unlikely. Yeah. So I started thinking about like, okay, well, who could have done it? And part of that being just wishful thinking of, I want Cad Bane in this. I inserted him into it. And I'm halfway there. So maybe next week. I think it makes sense, though, because we need some personal stakes in this story for people who don't know who Cad Bane is.
Yeah.
Instead of setting up all this stuff from the Clone Wars, it can just be like, hi, Boba Fett. I was the one that killed your Tusken tribe. And now Boba Fett's like, all right, well, it's on.
He just sees red. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I barely remembered that unfinished Clone Wars arc with the showdown and the shootout in the dented helmet. And beyond that, there's conflict between the two of them, but it's largely as Boba's a kid. And so even that's like a stretch that kind of grudge has been held this long. But I guarantee you the moment that Cad Bane reveals that he killed the Tuskens, like that's a powder keg that's going to explode in this episode. So I think that's spot on. That's exactly what happened. But,
next week. I hope I'm vindicated.
Yes. But I'm going to duck out, but thanks so much. This is a blast. I'm probably going to go watch this episode multiple times while I can't sleep. So
well, thanks for hanging around for so long. This is our longest episode so far already. But everyone,
I knew this one would have a lot of discussion topics. So
big episode.
I mean, if Luke shows up, we're going to be here for a minute. But thank you again, Thomas. Everyone go check out The Legal Geeks, follow Thomas on Twitter, all that good stuff. What was the name of your other podcast that I did not know?
The Joint Geeks. So it's at The Joint Geeks on Twitter. Yeah. But yeah. Well, we'll see what happens when they wrap up next week.
Yeah.
I'll see y'all. Bye.
See you, Thomas. Thanks.
Bye. What a literal champ. Don't do that.
Just do that.
No. Now we're really going to go off the rails of it, just two of us.
No one's here to babysit us now.
It's only a matter of time before my AirPods die.
Where are we? M. Grana Dynok. Thanks for the super chat, and I'm sorry about what I just did to your name. What I think is that Mando and Grogu are meant to play a significant role in the Boba Fett history, and the showrunners needed to explain where they are in their stories, so their part in Boba Fett's history would have more impact and feel more real. I mean, if this is going to continue on for multiple seasons, then yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I think it could also, that's definitely possible. For now, I'm going to keep thinking that it's just their stories have so many parallels that it just kind of makes sense to kind of tell their stories together. And also, Jon Favreau wanted to do a Boba Fett show and didn't get to, and is doing...
That's all speculation, but it makes sense.
Yeah. So, yeah. Mandalorian is getting a lot of Boba Fett stuff, and Boba Fett's getting new stuff. I don't know.
I've heard multiple people throw that theory out that like the Mandalorian was like Jon Favreau pitched a Boba Fett story, but they were like, well, we're doing a Boba Fett movie. And so he's like, okay, well, I'll just make a new character called the Mandalorian. And then the movie didn't happen. And he's like, okay, I guess I'll use Boba Fett.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
But John Paladin, thank you for the super chat. I love how R2 was so happy to see Ahsoka. Nice callback to Clone Wars. Hope to get more of them, maybe with Force Ghost Anakin next time.
Oh, yeah. Well, I did think that was really cute. Like, and she was really happy when she was kind of talking to him and like patted him on the head too. And I was like, oh, so cute.
Yeah. And I mean, I think we might get Luke, Anakin, and Ahsoka all talking together in the Ahsoka series.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Star Wars 95 up next with the super chat. Boba becomes Mandalore. Cad beats Din for the Darksaber. Ooh. Boba disarms Cad with Gaffy Stick, takes claim with Tusken form. Jango beat
Tor Vizsla.
Jango,
that's a Legends Vizsla.
Oh boy. Jango beat Tor Vizsla for it, hence the curse. That's a lot. That's a lot to throw.
That's a lot. But I really don't think Boba Fett's going to become Mandalore. I don't think that's his story. I think it's Din's story.
Boba Fett does not care about the Darksaber. I'm saying it. I
don't think he cares about Mandalorians. I mean, he said in season 2 of The Mandalorian, when Din was like, do you take the creed? And he was like, nope. I give my allegiance to no man. Like, he's his own guy. I don't think he cares about being a Mandalore.
Yeah. Now,
a Mandalore, a Mandalorian, or Mandalore.
If it was called Bobalore, that's different.
I'm the Bobalorian. Connor Mayfield, thank you for the question. Massive fan. You're the first channel I've ever subscribed to when you only had a couple thousand subs. Thank you. Do you think Luke is being hypocritical, saying no attachments considering the OT? We have kind of talked about that. Yeah, I think that he's just doing his best. I don't think he sees it as hypocritical. I think he still sees the dangers of attachment, and he figures, the Jedi before me probably know better than I do, so he's just trying to emulate them.
This feels kind of like another parallel with Boba Fett, kind of Boba and Din going back to what they're comfortable with and what they know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The textbook stuff. Luke is going back to the teachings that Yoda gave him, and he's going back to like the pure textbook version of teaching how to be a Jedi, and probably forgetting a lot about his own experiences with attachments.
I think that's a great point. I mean, I think that we've been talking through
I've
some
almost
of the
finished my
ways.
drink. I'm down
Yeah,
to my
we're
good
there.
point.
We're there. We're there. I'm at good points levels of buzz. But we've been kind of talking through ways that this episode is still dealing with the themes of The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. And yeah, this kind of regression, going back to comfort zones when you don't know what to do. We've seen Boba do it. We've seen Din do it. And yeah, Luke is kind of doing it as well.
Mm-hmm. And someone
Tequila.
earlier, thanks Tequila. Someone early in the chat said that they were a teacher, and that it's not uncommon for teachers to kind of copy other teachers or people who taught them, and that just kind of becomes their way of teaching until they find their stride. So that makes perfect sense for Luke.
I agree.
Daniel Davis with the next super chat here. Disagree that Mando is saving this show for Boba. It's called Book of Boba Fett. Books have chapters where the title character isn't around, i.e. Thrawn. I agree.
Yeah. I mean, that was my argument last week when I was like, the Mandalorian episode, chapter 5, that was an interlude. It still was very much in keeping with the themes of the Book of Boba Fett. But I said last week that I think if they do it again, it becomes a little bit more of a problem. And they did it again. And I do feel like it.
And we're still forgiving them.
I'm still, like, what am I going to do? I say like, oh, that was so much fun to watch, but I hated it. Or like, what? That's, I definitely think that it makes the series feel weird, but I had a blast watching it, so who cares? And like I just said, we are still finding ways that the themes of this episode are matching up with the themes that the Book of Boba Fett has presented. It still feels like I texted a couple of our friends the gif of Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park where he's like, so now eventually you plan to have dinosaurs on your dinosaur tour? Yes. Like that's it. If eventually Boba Fett's going to be in your Boba Fett show, right? Like it does feel like that, but whatever. It just, I really think a lot of this would be solved if they just didn't title it The Book of Boba Fett and it was something else.
The Trials of Tatooine or something like that. Yeah.
Tales of the Bounty Hunters. Honestly, HelloGreedo said that, and I'm like, there you go. Focus on Boba Fett for a little bit. Focus on Din for a little bit. It's great.
Bucketheads and Grogu. That's what I'm calling it. The Grogu show, honestly.
Grogu and Friends. I mean, that's what we made that joke about The Mandalorian, where it was like the Grogu fun time happy hour. Like, but then we'd be complaining that Grogu was only in one episode. So
yeah.
It's Grogu's universe, and everyone else is just living in it.
Absolutely.
Brandon Kyrchuk said, thank you for the super chat, says, was Sin Draelig the middle Jedi defending Grogu in the flashback, and does that retcon his death from the episode 3 hologram that Kenobi found? I would say no. I looked at that very closely because it definitely gave me Sin Draelig vibes. But yeah, like we see him fighting Anakin in Revenge of the Sith. I don't think Anakin's letting him get away from that fight. I think it was just a Jedi that looked similar. I also studied his lightsaber even, and it doesn't match his lightsaber from the Clone Wars. So I'm going to guess that's not him. They just look similar.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Brandon has the next super chat here. Thank you, Brandon. It wasn't Max Rebo playing music. It was Figrin Dan.
Yep.
Yeah, no, we didn't see Max Rebo.
We also don't know that that's Figrin Dan.
Yeah, we also don't know for sure that was Figrin Dan. I kind of hope not. But we still don't know who survived and who didn't in that explosion.
I don't think anyone's walking out of that building.
You don't think Garsa Fwip survived?
No.
That's a bummer.
Yeah. That's why I keep apologizing to her. I was wrong. I was wrong about you, Garsa.
I feel like they set her up for such a different continuation of story, but I guess I don't know.
I'll put it this way: if she survives, I will accept it, but I'm gonna laugh about it.
Yeah. I mean, how many times has that happened in Star Wars?
A lot. That's why I'm like, it can happen. But
yeah.
After seeing that explosion, my instinct is to say they all dead. Around the Galaxy, hey, what's up? And thank you for the super chat. Look at this group.
Pete.
Hey, Pete. Happy Boba Fett night. Star Wars Explained and HelloGreedo. Max Rebo lives. He was off that night. Yes, we all agree. I like that everyone collectively is like, he's fine. No one's going to accept that he died. We just got him back.
Mm-hmm. Next one up here is James and Riley Mink. I hope I said that name correctly. Thank you for your super chat. Did anyone else see Mando's head nod when Finnick introduced him as an homage to Boba's head nod in Return of the Jedi? I did not notice that, but
I mean, I noticed him nodding. I didn't really think of it as a Return of the Jedi callback. It's more just that he has to do something.
He has no facial
He can't just smile.
Yeah. Yeah. What if he has like an even tinier helmet that he tips? Well, milady.
That's what you need, like Boba Fett's antenna for, the rangefinder. Like you can tip your rangefinder as a Mandalorian.
Yeah. Or they need little animatronic eyebrows on the helmets themselves. So you can do like, what's up?
Or they're not animatronic, they're just magnetic and you have to manually move them. So like
I'm
and
angry
now I'm
now.
confused. I'm mad.
And I'm sad.
Star Wars fan 3131, thank you for the question. Do you think Ashley Eckstein would have made a good live action Ahsoka if she were cast? I think Rosario Dawson looks the part better. But there's still a part of me, this is not practical at all, but I do kind of wish it were her voice.
Yeah, back before we saw Rosario as Ahsoka, I was thinking like, okay, the rumor was that Rosario Dawson was going to play Ahsoka, but I was kind of hoping that they would take Rosario's voice and Ashley's voice and kind of like mix the two for her lines. But I was like, that might not be practical. But look what they're doing with Luke. Come on. I don't know. Like, I'm sure she could make it work, but I don't know how much she would look the part. She would definitely sound the part. So that's just a balance you have to find in live action TV and movie casting.
Yeah.
So, Robert McBain, thanks for your super chat. Any thoughts on how Mando knew where Luke and Grogu were? I think we said this earlier that it's probably like we need this to work out for story purposes. He has to know where they are. I think he probably knew the locate, like someone told him the location, or maybe he's got a secret tracker on Grogu. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, he just knows. I mean, we can make jokes about how he had the tracker, one of those fobs, and he could just find Grogu. But ultimately, it's like, if Luke is going to take his son, his adoptive son, he's not going to tell him like nothing. But it's also not something we need to see in the show, because ruining that emotional moment with like them going, should we exchange information? And like, okay, you text me and I didn't get it. Now I'll try texting you. Like, that's just not something we have to see. That's it.
Yeah. And like when he did show up, Luke wasn't like, how did you find us? How did you get here? You know, they weren't questioning how they found them. So he had to
just like,
known.
the Mandalorian was here.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just something that it's not something we have to see as the audience. The emotion of the scene is more important than giving us every detail.
Yeah. I'm going to take what Daniel S. said and just assume that the R2, he's like the one behind all the logistics. He's like, you guys just make these plans and don't actually tell each other what's going on, and he's in the background like giving everyone map quests and stuff. Yeah.
And God, I brought him up and I spawned a bunch of how did the fobs work? And I'm like, I don't know. It's just one of those storytelling devices. They work because they have to.
Yeah.
Same way hyperspace works because it has to. We don't have to know why. They just work.
Mm-hmm.
Lex Rider 215, thanks for the super chat. So Grogu is Yoda, right? Ahsoka said sometimes apprentices guide the master. And other hints? No.
Like he's reborn?
No. Grogu was alive before Yoda died.
Yeah.
Like, I think that shuts that down right there. But also, it's just like apprentices guiding the master is it's the same reason Jedi Knights take on Padawans, because teaching someone is a great way to learn. That's all that means.
Yeah. Agreed. Oh, I was looking for super chats that were specifically for our guests, and I missed this one. I'm so sorry, Nick Alexander. But thank you for your super chat. It says,
It
hello,
had 3
Greedo.
L's and like 7 E's in it, so didn't pop up in a find.
Greedo. Don't forget fake Christmas tree in December. Hi all. I will make sure Hello Greedo gets your hello.
Larry Banks, thanks for the super chat. While I like Book of Boba Fett, I feel that some of the pacing being weird is that it was filmed after the pandemic, which made filming complicated, unlike Mando.
That's absolutely a possibility. Someone earlier, I think it was in the comments of your review video today, mentioned that like that this might be kind of a stretch, but they were like, if Tamira Morrison went home to New Zealand at the point where they got COVID cases kind of like wiped out, and then they went on like a very strict lockdown, maybe Tamira Morrison was stuck there and couldn't fly out to film anything. It's a stretch, but it's a possibility. I mean, we're in a pandemic.
I think we would have heard news if that were the case. That probably would have happened. Like the Hollywood Reporter would have said something about it. And I think they would have just delayed production. Like if they had a story they wanted to tell, I don't think that they would just pull 2 episodes out of their ass and be like, well, I guess it stars The Mandalorian now. I think they would just delay the story. That's my guess.
Yeah. The possibilities are endless.
Diego Imanol, thanks for the question. Is Luke repeating mistakes of the past by keeping the no attachments dogma? Yes.
Yes.
I think so.
And he will realize that by the time of The Last Jedi. Hopefully.
Well, not really. He just kind of gives up.
Lightspeed Bear, thank you for your super chat. Does anyone else think most of the dialogue in the show and Mando is very stiff, stoic statement speech with very little personality? I mean, a lot of them have helmets on, so it's kind of hard to get to convey a personality. And a lot of these characters don't really have much of a personality. I mean, they learn to have kind of one. Like, we're getting a lot of subtle humor in this show, which I love. So I don't know. I tend to connect more with that stuff than seeing if something feels stiff.
I definitely have had moments where I've just been like, who talks like this? Where, yeah, they have really weird statements. It's the one I keep bringing up of Boba Fett being like, maybe we'll finally figure out what's going on in this murky fin. And I was like, Boba Fett of all people that's not how I would have pictured him talking. But just sometimes I get that vibe of like Harrison Ford told George Lucas, like, George, you can type this stuff, but you can't say it. Like sometimes I think they're just given weird lines and they're like, what do I do with this?
Oh yeah, I mean, Boba's had some lines that have been just like way over the top dramatic, and it's like, okay, is he trying to be dramatic on purpose, or is this just how they wrote it? And he's like, I don't know what this is. Like, that stuff just happens in Star Wars.
Luke being stiff, I will chalk up to the technology and his artificially generated voice. But
yeah.
Alex, who talks
turn
first?
Whose turn is it?
Alex Franco 25. Thank you for another super chat. Cad Bane and the 501st made me jump off my chair.
Yeah, the 501st flashback, we were both just like, what are we about to witness? And then yeah, Cad Bane was something that we had kind of been predicting, not for any reason specifically, just thought it would be cool, but so glad we got it.
I didn't jump out of my chair. I more sunk into my couch out of fear, but I loved it.
Yeah. Bakey, thanks for your super chat. Nothing will keep Max Rebo from getting to the next gig. Gotta get to the gig, man. But was that Figrin Dan in there?
That's a Robot Chicken joke for the.
Oh, gotta get to the
Gotta
gig.
get to the gig, man.
Yeah.
Was that Figrin Dan? I don't know. They haven't named him yet, so and now that he's probably dead, I'm gonna say no. Because I don't want him to be dead. It's one of his lesser known cousins.
What if that becomes like an in-universe conspiracy theory?
Like that's Figrin Dan faking his death or something.
Yeah. Could be. I don't know.
Hector Barrera, thank you for the question. Who do you think will deliver Grogu if he chooses the chain link vest? Han and Chewie, maybe? I think Din is going to go pick him up. Like maybe they'll just contact Din.
Or Ahsoka.
Or Ahsoka. Well, she left already.
Did she?
Yeah, she was like heading out, and Luke was like, "Am I going to see you again?" And she was like, "Maybe."
What if she's got her own campsite on the other side of the planet?
That seemed like I'm going off planet. Like, nah, I'm going to go nap on the bench that the ant droids made. Will I see you again? It's like, no, I'm going to sleep forever. Forever sleep.
Maybe he'll have a little escape pod like Yoda took to Dagobah.
Yeah.
And it's like a one-way ticket to Din. Their tracking thing works both ways.
Yeah. The second he chooses the chainmail, he's like, well, then get out of here. Wasting my time, kid.
Yeah. Someone will drop him off. Ken Plume with another super chat here. I saw him talking about this in the chat. This book report is going all night long. Woo! I hope not.
We're on our way. We got to eat dinner at some point.
I love talking about this stuff with you guys, and I love reading your super chats, but I'm past dinner.
We're not dinner's over.
This is my dinner now.
Uh-oh.
And what do I have in my office here? I've got some Sour Patch Kids. So
you're fine. Okay.
I'm ready to go.
Loutry, thank you for the super chat. Age of Rebellion, The Trial of Dagobah comic, Yoda rebuilt his lightsaber. People keep saying that. I looked. I didn't see that. I didn't see his lightsaber anywhere in that comic. So
I didn't look. So
I did see that Wikipedia lists that as having happened, but I, for the life of me, couldn't find it. I didn't spend that long looking, but I read that whole story. So I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting. I wonder how that got started then, if it's not there. Conspiracy. I don't know. Angelo Howard 2, thank you for your super chat. What if the Weequay barkeep knows Hondo Onaka? Just because he's a Weequay?
Yeah, I doubt it. The Weequay bartender seems like a homebody, kind of like Pelly He just lives in Mos Pelgo.
Yeah, he's like, we don't need that kind of trouble here. Like, he didn't want Din to bring any trouble to Freetown. So
yeah.
But Hondo is one of those characters, we've talked about this before. He could show up in just about any story if they needed him to.
Yeah. So. Knowing he's alive all the way into the sequel trilogy era. And I'm still shocked he hasn't appeared in The Mandalorian yet. He just seems like a perfect fit.
Mm-hmm.
But Joel Davis, thank you for the super chat. I think this episode made me realize that Filoni and Favreau aren't making these Mandoverse shows to stand alone. It's all one big story in chunks. Yep, I think that's right.
Yeah. A lot of corporate synergy happening with the characters showing up in each other's shows. Paul, thank you for your super chat. So is Ezra just Thrawn's prisoner? We don't know. I like to think they're best buds by now and working together. I don't know.
I think they may have worked together a bit to survive, but if Thrawn is coming back to attack the New Republic, I hope Ezra is his prisoner. I don't think Ezra would be on board with that.
I feel like, I don't know, this is probably just me thinking nonsense, but what if like Ezra and Thrawn had to get along while they were together, and then something happened and Ezra just like left and like doesn't want to be found, and is having kind of a Kanan moment where he is like off doing other random stuff, doesn't want to be a Jedi anymore.
Yeah, I mean maybe, but it's like that like you just mentioned, Kanan did that, Cal Kestis did that, Luke did that.
It's a very
Obi-Wan,
Jedi thing to do.
Yoda did that. Like, I think I'd prefer he just be Thrawn's prisoner. But I don't know. A lot can happen in that time. It's been like 10 years.
Every Jedi needs their
exile.
What's the holiday called?
Rumspringer?
Yeah. Every Jedi needs that.
That's where Ezra is.
It's your turn.
I just read the Ezra thing.
I thought I read that.
Did you?
Yeah.
You did. Okay. Look, I'm getting to the point where I'm delirious.
You got this.
King George VI, thank you for the super chat and the question. I feel like there's an opportunity or plan to have some of these shows connect in an Avengers-style team-up with Thrawn as Thanos. Is this too predictable being Disney? Good idea or bad idea if it happens? No, I think that's probably the plan. I mean, they already said that a handful of these series are building towards a climactic event. Like, that sounds right, that Thrawn would be the big bad for them all to take on. Ahsoka has an in with Ezra. I've got a theory that Thrawn is on Mandalore, so that would provide the Mandalorians a good reason to join the fight. The Rangers of the New Republic, whether or not that's happening, or they've talked about weaving those storylines into other series, like the New Republic would obviously be interested in taking Thrawn down if he's attacking them. So I think there's a way to get all of these series invested into a fight against Thrawn.
Would you be against a post-credits scene for the Book of Boba Fett of Din getting to Mandalore and finding out that Thrawn is there? That's very convoluted, but
yeah, that seemed like for this season.
Yeah.
That seems like too much of a stretch.
Too much?
Yeah.
All right.
Save it for The Mandalorian.
Sure.
They've already taken too much away from Book of Boba Fett.
True. That is true. Mike V, thank you for your super chat. Will a theme of Din/Grogu's arcs be them both trying to reform the respective doctrines that they are a part of? Parentheses, Din changing the rigidity of the what is that?
Children of the Watch.
Oh.
COTW, yeah.
Din changing the rigidity of the Children of the Watch / Grogu convincing Luke that attachment isn't bad. Yeah, I don't think Grogu is going to convince Luke that attachment isn't bad, but I think that's part of this theme in the story.
Yeah. I think Din's story is absolutely learning that there isn't just one way to be a Mandalorian, that there's lots of different ways, just like Luke said that you can serve the light side without being a Jedi, that the light doesn't die if the Jedi die. It's the same kind of idea.
Yep.
Jansen Baker's got 2 super chats. Thank you. What if they rename the Filoniverse shows, as some people are calling them, to reflect the connected story? They could leave Mando to end at season 2 and call each show Ahsoka, Rangers, etc. to be books. Mando is book 1, Boba book 2, etc. Maybe.
That would be like a big rebrand project if they were to rename them like that.
Yeah. I think they're all just going to like Ahsoka, I figure, is just going to be called Ahsoka. And the Mandalorian's probably just going to continue to be the Mandalorian. And the second super chat says, don't know if anyone sent a super to tell you, but people aren't as confident anymore that he rebuilt it. Oh, I think talking about Yoda's lightsaber.
Mm.
Okay.
How quickly that theory came and left. That's okay. It happens. Fan
Kabuka?
Kaboka? I'm sorry if I butchered your username, but thank you for the super chats. We've got 2 of these. Keep coming back, and you're still here. We are still here. I recommend Dark Side Divas for substitutes. Oh,
like substitute teachers.
Teachers, okay. Dark Side Divas. I will look them up. Thank you for the recommendation.
Darth Nicholas, thanks for the question. Do you think Omega will be introduced in Book of Boba Fett finale? No. Or do you think she will make her live action debut sometime after the Bad Batch season 2?
You know, Alex is tired when he, in the middle of a question, is like, no.
My voice is tired. I've recorded 3 videos today, and I've been talking for 3 hours straight. I'm gonna soldier on, but nah, like the Book of Boba Fett already has too much going on to throw Omega into the mix. Like, she could absolutely be in the story, maybe in season 2 or something else, but to bring in Boba Fett's sister out of the blue to people who haven't seen the Bad Batch, like, that would be crazy.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. She could pop up at some point, but not anytime soon. Star Orange 36, thank you for your super chat. Do you think there will be a release date revealed at the end of the season? I feel like Ahsoka did an exit to her own spin-off show this episode.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you think we'll get a release date?
For Ahsoka, no. I'm not expecting a release date for anything else to be tacked on to Boba Fett.
Yeah.
I think we will just start hearing about Kenobi pretty quickly.
Yeah.
In the next few weeks.
Aside from May the 4th being a big day that they release a lot of stuff, I think a lot of release dates for a lot of these shows have kind of shifted around quite a bit. They may not know an exact release date until, a month before.
I mean, I hope they know.
I do too, but they may have to, with COVID, stuff is always being rearranged and moved around, so they might not want to announce anything permanent until they know for sure.
Sure. I think we'll start hearing about Kenobi pretty quickly, though. I think that has a release date at this point. They're just not going to talk about it while we're in the middle of the Book of Boba Fett.
It's totally May 4th.
I hope so. Or sooner, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
Chad Finnered, thank you for the question. Do you think the warrior Tusken will show up with other tribes on Banthas, kind of like Gandalf in Lord of the Rings, but under the two suns? I still pretty confidently think the warrior Tusken is dead. He burned her gaffy stick just because we didn't see the body. Like, obviously that leaves some room for her to be alive, but I think she's dead. But I will hold out some hope for like Tuskens to come in and help out.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to see more like female Tusken warriors like the one that we saw, just like a whole bunch of them coming in to fight. I would love that.
That'd be sick.
Ice, thank you for the super chat. Everyone who appeared in this has a connection to Boba, so it's still themed around him. Luke, Cobb, Cad Bane, even Ahsoka. She arrested him during the Clone Wars. Yeah, they're all loosely connected, but
yeah, I mean that's true. They just didn't do anything to further his current story.
We don't see Boba Fett having any lines in the show pointing that out to people who may not know. So I don't know how important it is.
Yeah. Hobbit F. Andy, what's up? Thanks for the question. Is Cobb Vanth going to use Boba's flashback back to Tank next episode? I could see that.
That was my quick theory that it just popped into my head, but they probably use that spray on stuff, the spray on back to. Although, isn't there something special about Cad Bane's gun that's like really powerful?
I mean, that people always go like, why did his blaster bolt dent the Beskar helmet? It's like, because it did. That's it. Like,
you don't have to be a bummer about it.
I mean, that's the answer. Like, that's why people think that his gun must be more powerful, but really it was just because they were having this duel, and then George Lucas like came in and said, let's put the dent in his helmet, like kind of on a whim. And so they did.
Okay. That works. Mr. J86, thank you for your super chats. How long do you think the Mando era will go on for? I obviously don't want it to end, but I also can't wait for the Thrawn confrontation.
Well, I think Ahsoka comes out next year. The Book of Mando season 4 might come out next year as well. I don't know. I could see it going on another 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. Easily. I mean, we really don't know how far out they have plans for these characters' stories, but they're setting quite a bit up. So I could see it going for quite a while.
Yeah. Ethan Elysia, thank you for the super chat. Cobb Vanth will recover to kill Cad Bane and take his hat.
Take his hat.
He would look good in that hat. I mean, don't like.
Is it going to flatten out his hair?
The hair looks great, but you know, Cobb Vanth can pull off any look he wants. I'm not going to stop him.
He really can. What if he cuts the top of the hat off so that his hair can show through?
Still pops out.
Darth Toucan, thank you for your super chat. Not related to the Book of Boba, but if Vader went to the world between worlds and was able to go to his past self, would he still be a Sith, or would he stop himself? Is that how that works? To
no.
Your past self?
The world between worlds is not a way to change time. What happened, happened. Like, if we had seen Ahsoka die in Star Wars Rebels Season 2, Ezra would not have been able to pull her out. Like, this, anytime you start talking about timey-wimey stuff, my nose starts to bleed. But there's nothing in the world between worlds to suggest that Ezra altered events that happened. Ahsoka was always pulled to safety from Darth Vader, and Ezra was never going to be able to save Kanan because we saw him die. I think that Palpatine was tempting Ezra into thinking that he could, just to get Ezra to reach into that portal.
Mhm.
And Palpatine was on the other side of it. But no, like Vader can't go back and change anything about what happened. If that makes sense.
I think it does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alan's Rust, thanks for the super chat. Heading to bed, but let Major Harper know I tuned in for him. Best Y-wing takes on the web. I will let him know.
He will be happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Caravaggio 2012, thank you for the super chat. Were you surprised the Darksaber didn't come up? No. I don't think Luke knows about it or cares about it.
I mean, Ahsoka would have known, but that just wasn't on Din's mind at the time. He was focused on Grogu.
Din barely cares about it. He didn't want it. He just ended up with it. But now he's kind of like, okay, well, I'm gonna fight for it, but I still don't know if it's for me.
I'm imagining him like stomping off from Ahsoka, pouting about like, it won't let me see my son. I got this stupid heavy weapon. And she's like, what? You're like,
heavy.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Stupid sword I can't swing around. It's dumb. Mr. Doctor, thank you for the super chat. Boba gives up the armor for his Tusken robes and gives the armor to Cobb. Everybody wins. We have thrown that idea around, and I do not hate it.
I threw that idea out a couple episodes ago, and people yelled at me for it.
Yeah. I mean, I think Boba's going to keep his armor. I think he will find the happy medium between who he was and who he wants to be, like with the Tuskens, that he can marry those two worlds. But if he were to hang up the armor and give it back to Cobb Vanth, I would not hate that.
Going back real quick, I agree. Din, he put it in that travel box to get on public transportation. He is absolutely the type to just leave it in the ship. It's fine. No one's going to touch it. I have more pressing issues.
Yeah.
I want to see Grogu and give him my gift. No one here needs to know that I have this sword that I don't know how to use.
Right.
J Bell, thanks for the super chat. In the original film, if Luke believed his dad was a navigator on a spice freighter, did he believe his dad was a drug runner? Probably not. Luke was pretty naive back then.
Also, spice doesn't have to be drugs. It often is, but it's also medicinal. So spice has a lot of uses.
All right, hippie.
That's true. That's how I'm just trying to explain things.
Open up your spice Etsy shop.
Legalize spice.
Sorry.
It's ridiculous that spatchka is legal and spice is not. That's all I'm saying.
That's all I'm saying.
Scott D, thanks for the super chat. Do you think Ahsoka series we could see the world between worlds again? Crazy idea. She goes back in time and drops Grogu in the Old Republic, and he grows up to be Yoda.
Whoa!
I'm gonna go.
Alex is gonna lose his mind.
Timey-wimey stuff. You can't alter time through the world between worlds.
You can't do it.
There's nothing that we've been shown so far that suggest. I mean, like maybe they'll change how it works, but so far, what I've seen is that you can't alter anything. You can access other times and other spaces, but if you do that, then that will have always happened. But I guess in theory, nope, that wouldn't work. Never mind. My nose starts bleeding. My nose starts bleeding. And
I was gonna say, Filoni came up with the idea of the world between worlds. If he wants to change it, he can change it to whatever he wants. But until then, you can't just change events.
Yes. Like the world between worlds exists because it was a lesson for Ezra in letting go of Kanan. That's it. That's why it exists. It wasn't created so that Star Wars would have time travel. Like
Yeah.
it was a story device first and foremost. And then they wrecked it. Which there are other ways to get into it, of course. I'm sure we'll see it again sooner or later. But no, like I don't think that would work if you went and threw Grogu into the Old Republic. He wouldn't then become Yoda because they exist at the exact same time. Like,
Okay.
my head's
Stop.
gonna explode.
Your nose is gonna bleed if you keep talking. Do you want to read these 2 super chats from Templin?
No.
No.
What's up, Mark? The Templin Institute says what I said earlier. Now, eventually, you do plan to have Boba Fett on your Boba Fett show, right? Hello.
Hello.
Thank you, Mark. I already made that joke though, but thank you.
Chris Fields, thank you for your super chat. Boba chooses Gaffy Stick and gives armor back to Cobb. Talked about that a couple of times tonight. Don't know about him giving the armor back to Cobb. I think that would work fine, but I do think he's going to take up that Gaffy Stick and do something cool with it.
I want to see him pick that Gaffy Stick back up.
Yeah.
Stephen Ray Morris, what's up? And thanks for the super chat. I'm super late today to the discussion. And this was about half an hour ago that they left the super chat, by the way. But do you think the creators will talk about this show and season? I'm super curious to hear their talk on all the choices they made, especially the last 2 episodes. I really hope there's a gallery episode about this series. Like, they didn't do one for Hawkeye, which I think is weird. But they did making ofs for like Loki and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and of course both Mandalorian seasons. So I'm hoping that there is a little gallery featurette.
Me too. I really hope so. I'm not getting my hopes up too much because it's Star Wars. We're all busy. But I think there's probably going to be one, but I don't know how much in depth they're going to go into why they made the choices that they did on the episodes and all that. They could, but they may not want to open that can of worms.
Yeah, it'll probably be more like how we designed the ring world and did some technical things. They might talk about Luke again and some of the strides they've made technologically. I think that would be more the focus.
If hopefully they'll talk about that cool one shot of Mando walking through the ring place, like stuff like that. I think is more along the lines of what they would talk about.
Agreed.
And Grogu.
We didn't change him at all, but he's still here. Look at this puppet. It's adorable.
Look at him. Yeah.
Oh, good to know. Thank you, Wari. Okay.
Oh.
I was afraid that they were like not doing those anymore.
Cool. Nice. All right. Lev Mass, thanks for the super chat. Cad was alive and not hired in Empire? What was he doing? Headcanon, him and Imbo retired to be farmers together, but the Pikes gave him one last job.
So there was a line in this episode that Cad Bane was like, Boba Fett was a cold-blooded killer who worked for the Empire. Like, Cad kind of made this big deal about the Empire, like looking down on them, even though he worked for the Sith and like the Hutts and stuff. So I think he was just trying to kind of tell Cobb Vanth that Boba Fett's a bad guy. He's no better than me. But that line could be hinting that, you know, Cad Bane just didn't work for the Empire for some reason. I don't know.
Maybe he took a sabbatical.
Maybe like the executor sent that call out, like we're looking for the Millennium Falcon, and maybe Cad Bane was like, no, I'm busy or I'm already on a job. For whatever reason, he didn't show up.
Yeah.
Or there were like a bunch of groups of bounty hunters. We saw group number 3. That was Boba Fett and IG-88 and all them. And then like they got sent out, and then they brought in group 4 and Cad Bane and Imbo and all those others were there. They were just cycling bounty hunters through.
Yeah. Ken sent in another super chat. Thank you, Ken. Sorry for the text, Alex. # almost midnight. Almost.
Drago90121, thanks for the question. Hey guys, love your videos. Do you think Luke's statement about doubting himself and his repeating of old Jedi mistakes is setting up the Last Jedi Luke? A little bit, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely see some of the Last Jedi Luke in there.
Yeah. You see some rumblings of him.
Ken sent me a picture of Cad Bane wearing Cobb Vanth's scarf, like as a trophy, and I don't like it. So that's why he was apologizing for the text.
I thought you meant only Cobb Vanth's scarf, and I was like, oh my. After dark, Star Wars Explained After Dark. Matt Pace, thank you for your super chat. Anyone else notice that the Darksaber may have been taken in transit to Tatooine? He put it in facing right, but removed it facing left.
That seems like, I don't know. This isn't Breaking Bad.
Are you saying that someone like replaced it with a fake?
Yeah. No, I don't think anyone's trying to trick us.
Maybe that stuff got all, you know how your luggage gets all shaken up and nothing is how you folded it and put it in when you first gave it to TSA. You get it out and it's all messed up.
Yeah, like he put all that stuff in and then the droid just threw it into the compartment and then they're flying through space and it's probably just bouncing around. It probably just rolled around. Like
someone in the quality control or whatever the TSA of space is opened that thing up like a droid, scanned everything, was like, I don't know what this is, put it back in the other way.
Yeah. Like I think that's looking too deep at what Star Wars is doing. They're usually not trying to be that tricky.
Yeah.
Malachi Livingston, thanks for the super chat. Has anyone talked about Grogu completing Rey's training post sequels? Nope. But he'd certainly be alive at that point, assuming he chooses the mail shirt, the chainmail, and doesn't stay at Luke's temple.
Yeah. Meaning like he would be a student of Rey's or what?
No, like he would teach Rey.
Oh, Grogu would teach Rey.
Yeah. I mean, they could certainly meet up. Grogu's going to be the new Ahsoka that's in everything moving forward.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. And then, okay, we got it.
We did
guys. Last super chat of the night. Superpower Geek, thank you so much. Here's an idea. Grogu gives his armor to Cobb Vanth and keeps Cad Bane's hat instead. Give Cobb Vanth that tiny little shirt. Alex will love it.
Yeah.
And put that hat on Grogu.
Tiny little see-through mesh Beskar shirt.
Ooh, boy.
Let's go party, Cad Bane. Or Cobb Vanth.
I'm here for it. Give him some glow sticks. Yeah.
What was it when Cobb Vanth has that line? Din says something, and he's like, "See, that's what I like about you, Mando. You can get away with anything with that behind that smile or something."
Yep.
Making a joke about how he can't see his face, but Molly, you were like, "Stop flirting."
In our reaction, I was like, "You guys, stop flirting. Stop it."
And Bill Rudd, thank you for a celebratory 11:38 super chat. That's very nice and thematic. I like that. What a marathon stream. I left shortly after HelloGreedo had an hour and a half long phone conversation with my brother about the episode. Never expected you two would still be here. Well, you got the last super chat, Bill. Thank you so much. Pippin just got off my lap and there is cat litter all over me.
Ew.
So
you gotta go clean yourself up.
I gotta go get this off of me.
Yeah.
You're welcome, chat, for that image.
I just gotta say though, thank you so much to everyone who's stayed for this whole show. We've had over 1,000 people watching for almost the whole show. That's insane that people want to listen to us ramble on about Star Wars. for that long. So thank you so much to everyone, and especially to everyone sitting in super chats. You guys are the best, and you're why we do this.
This is insane. Thank you, everybody. My voice is going to be shot tomorrow, but it was worth it. It was so much fun talking Boba Fett with you, or Mando, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go eat a late dinner.
Yeah.
And relax
Real
right
quick.
after we answer Daniel's Latkins. And this is it. This is the last one.
This is it. Thank you, Daniel. I guess Yoda's lightsaber did not get melted. That's the consensus, I think, for now.
It was either a fake one, or he built a new one, or he had a second one.
Yeah.
One of those. We'll figure that out later.
Yeah. All right. If you have more questions, come check out our Lego stream tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern.
Yes. We will be doing another stream tomorrow, and we'll keep talking about the Book of Boba Fett, and we'll build Legos, and we'll hang out, and we'll have a chill time. But until then, thank you all so much for hanging out with us for 3.5 hours. I'm glad you're enjoying the Book of Boba Fett so much. We'll see you next time. May the Force be with you.